I've been walking a tightrope between fact and fiction. Been wrestling with demons in small bottle prisons. Been talking to sinners who claim to be Christian, but shouting at leaders who claim to be listening. And the pendulum swings from the left to the right. Its momentum increases the need for the fight, like a moment of blindness and a lifetime of sight. And I am caught somewhere in the middle. I saw a president blind to the needs of his people. Saw a camel that passed through the eye of a needle. Saw a group of old men whose money was evil. Saw a cross breaking free from a cage of a steeple. Saw beggars and cripples dying in squalor. A son whose sins had exceeded his father. Saw a nation of sleepers whose dreams were forgotten. And a bushel of apples from a tree that was rotten. And a pendulum swings from the left to the right. Its momentum increases the need for the fight, like a blindfold when it's time to walk toward the light. And I am lost somewhere in the middle. I heard the echo of suffering in the valley of laughter. Heard the rumble of earthquakes far under the water. I heard a court jester whose forked tongue was twisted. He told us of dangers that never existed. Heard voices that claimed to be moral and righteous, whose lies and deceit were all dark and contagious. Heard talk of a country that valued its freedom, but when I protested, I was arrested and beaten. And the pendulum swings from the left to the right. Its momentum increases the weight and the height. But if nobody's listed, is anyone right? And I can't seem to find the key to the riddle. I met a young woman with a baby inside her. I looked, but there wasn't a safe place to hide her. I met an old man with a face like a mirror. He showed me his sadness so I could see clearer. Met an arrogant leader who robs us and cheats us, pretends that his orders come directly from Jesus. But he sends out our children to strange foreign soil, to kill for the right to monopolize oil. I'm raising my voice against the house of derision that murders our freedom with short-sighted vision. I'll sing a new song about civilization and the palace of wisdom and the death of a nation. I lift up the veil that's hiding the holy. Remind all the people that change happens slowly. I scream out a name to the echoes of heaven. I pray that the world don't end up where it's heading. And the pendulum swings from the left to the right. Its momentum decreases, the end is in sight. There's a lunatic handling our future tonight. And I am lost somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle.
That was Jordan Page, and you are listening to Coax Radio. That was the most classic that was the most classic Jordan Page track from the summer of 2013. I'm your host, Moses Flows. With me, as always, is my host, Doc Risk.
Doc Risk, also known as Seymour the Mackeyist. How are you, Moses?
We're taking requests all summer long.
All summer long.
I'm good. How are you, Doc?
I'm good. I'm feeling all right. I woke up with a little headache.
And I woke up with a little chest thing.
A little chestmas?
Chesticles.
A little chestmas gift.
But it's given me a great rock radio voice.
Oh, yeah.
Coax, the voice of radio. I was hoping for effect there, but it's all right.
That's all right. Falling behind the ball. Is that you vibrating?
Yeah, Slack.
Yeah, Slack ain't never leaving me alone.
The great corn.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are should be joined by our special guest returning from last week's debacle, which I apologize again for. We did some tests, and we should have fabulous audio. And when Stacy decides to show his face, we'll get a comms check. If not, we'll just sit and wonder. I think we're good. I'll check
That is Stacy's job. What? Oh, that's mine. I'm sorry, everybody.
Nope, that's me.
What? Oh, that was you?
That was me testing the waters. So what's happening, man? What's going on in the life, man? We're in the final countdown here, huh?
For me?
For you.
Well, I just want to point out that we have some awesome new mic equipment here in-house.
In-house. We got some new fancy mic stands.
Swivel, stepping it up a little bit every week.
Every week we take one step forward, two steps back.
But yeah, we are in the final countdown.
The final countdown.
You know, Nikki's wishing that we were probably in the hospital tonight rather than have to wait. But I'm thinking sometime next week.
Yeah.
I guesstimate. At which point, I believe we have a special guest coming up here in-house.
Yeah, we should have some... Yo, we got Salvi in the YouTube chat. What up, Salvi?
I did share the YouTube link. What is he talking about?
Salvi
right,
with a capital S-A.
This ain't really the show.
This is
Anybody who's what? All right, it is the show. Yeah, all right.
This is the show. We're just making another debacle of a show here. There's lots of news to talk about, although I'm not sure. I'm not sure any of it's really interesting.
What are you talking about? Crypto?
Not really crypto. I mean, there's really nothing fantabulous going on in crypto right now.
It's a bloody bear market out there.
It's a bear market. It's a bear market, as we were saying last week.
Facebook is for cucks. It's a bear market.
That's fine. That's fine. Let's take a look at the market and just see how fair it is. Bitcoin is sitting steady at a 45.1% dominance, up from about 44% in the previous week. There's really not a lot of action going on with Bitcoin. I mean, you can go to CoinMarketCap and try to get a feels for what's going on, and it's just a sea of red. We've had some greenery showing in the past few days, but nothing that has been really substantial. It's just been like some pump and dumps. Verge is blowing up, man.
Verge, I said that, man. I said that, Verge.
I say that
I needed to go
with
way.
sarcasms.
Well, I mean,
Why
it is. Didn't they suffer an attack? Didn't they have to do a fork? Was that true or was that fake news?
I'm not sure, man. I don't know. We can check the socials. Please update to the latest commits.
I thought they got like a 51% attack.
Well, they said they're releasing a new Qt wallet for Windows and Mac OS, along with a detailed explanation of mining exploit we deal with. Thanks for everyone for being patient. I know if you are into Verge, I don't hold any Verge anymore. I had bought some before the Sea of Red showed its ugly face, and I made a couple bones on it, and then I got out. But speaking of Verge, what happened to McAfee? McAfee. McAfee. What happened to McAfee?
You keep it happening with McAfee. What happened with him is that it came out that he was
shilling.
He was
to pay the billings.
Yeah, chilling to pay the billing like a villain. He is like a villain, like a cool villain, though. I dig it. I think he's awesome. He says who he is. You know, he's a piece of shit. He knows that. Look. He was getting paid what, $100,000 or so, $110,000. It was a weird number. It was like $109,000 or something weird like that. Mm-hmm. To shill shit coins. Shitcoin shilling for $109 million. Not 109,000, but million flowed better.
Yeah. Well, I know that at that time when I actually had Verge, the Verge Whales, or there was one guy on Twitter, Verge Whale. He was going toe-to-toe with McAfee.
A lifetime of cocaine and depression, Salvi said.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Let's see. 4 days ago, John McAfee reveals he charges $105,000 per promotion cryptocurrency tweet. Wow.
Hold on, check this out.
Who's paying this dude $105,000?
Universal Consulate General said,
"What's up, Nick Wright?
Where is Deanna? Get the Nexus chicks on the show. The male ego is so mediocre."
What's his name?
Cuckold.
This is the Cuckold? Is that what he wrote on there?
No, Keith did.
Oh. This is our troll via proxy. He's our troll via...
Is that him?
He hates Keith.
Oh.
So therefore he hates us, unless we have Deanna on.
And when he thought that we were coming down on Keith, he liked us then, I thought.
For a moment.
But then he did attack us with some slanderous words that YouTube wasn't having.
YouTube was not having. I didn't even have to remove those.
Thank you for keeping us safe, YouTube.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't even have to remove those. They removed themselves.
He is full of hatred.
He is full of a lot of hate. Where is he at? He's in
and
the
wasn't his
YouTubes?
picture
The YouTubes?
David Cohen, right? Or what's his name? Leonard Cohen.
Hey, we got 8 watching on the YouTube. That's a record.
Yeah, we're moving ship from... Let me explain to everybody watching. We're moving ship from Facebook, the dying platform, to the dying platform known as YouTube. In time for YouTube to completely die, at which time we will jump ship and be behind the wave of DTube.
Yeah.
Late to the party, as always.
Late to the party.
What kind of scenery we got going on here?
When DTube finally gets their shit together and they fix their fucking uploading system and they take that next step over to actually having a live stream, then we will move over there. We should probably make a corrected Axiom DTube
I thought
account.
we did.
Did I? I might have set it up.
You might have. I think we did. We'll talk about that offline.
Offline.
We will have a DTube someday.
I like the YouTube chat more than I like the Facebook chat, but let's take a peek. Nick Wright is in the house.
And he ain't never wrong.
And he ain't never wrong. You know what the thing I don't like about this little chat app here for Facebook? It doesn't really update.
It's the truth that DTube needs to
Excuse
update
me.
a lot more. It's kind of why it's not ready.
No, it's not ready to hold us.
It's got to be in the oven a little longer.
It's not fully baked yet. We're supposed to have a special guest on who we're waiting to hear back from. He's probably breastfeeding one of his many children's.
Yeah. Jordan Page in the house. I don't know if anybody. We had some technical difficulties last week with Jordan, and so we wanted to get him on because he has a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. Always. I mean, did we get good footage of his talking about in the chat portion of the interview? I know we got to go right back to crypto with him because we lost a lot of that. But he had said some interesting stuff about the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, I was pretty much absentee from that whole entire conversation because I was trying to unsuccessfully fix his audio output.
Interesting stuff, though. Hopefully we get him back.
Yeah, we didn't really get a lot of good audio. I actually had to put the headphones up to the microphone, and that's how we were getting some of his audio. It was very shitty, so I apologize for that again. I can never say enough. I can never apologize enough for this.
So go ahead. Shout out to General Smiley Gnome in the YouTube chat. He is a general.
He is.
And
thank you for the trolling also.
and Mike Salvi.
And
Who's
Mike
trolling?
Salvi. Our troll via troll.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
Via King Troll.
Via.
He doesn't
King
like the rap music. So we played some Jordan Page. What do you got to say about that, buddy?
Yeah. I mean, we
got to
do.
say
I mean,
about that?
I am an acoustic cover guy in bars. So I do have background in playing rock music and, well, I guess what you would consider, South rock stuff. I mean, I do a lot of other stuff. I mean, I don't understand the racist bigotry towards the rap music stuff, especially because, I mean, I wouldn't consider us to be like gangster rappers, even in our youth. It was all...
It was all a dream.
It was all a dream.
I used to read Crypto magazine.
It was all educational purposes, our music.
I
We're
just heard
nerd
from
rap.
Jordan. He's setting up right now, so we're going to have him in a few minutos. And we're going to have a fabulous conversation. We're going to need everybody on the chat to make sure we got the audio.
Wait, is that
So you're
Heist?
just gangsters who rap. Where's Heist?
We are gangsters who rap. Salvi, you know this better than anyone.
True.
I mean,
True.
but if you would have saw the hurt-filled words that this man, I don't want to assume his gender, but it was a man, right? Isn't it? No?
I don't think we should assume
I won't assume.
these
So,
days.
They.
More and more states are actually passing laws where if you
Gender.
misgender or use an improper pronoun, you could have a fine. You see a fine or face jail time. I know in Canada, you could actually go to jail.
Canadian jail, which is way worse than any other sort of jail. Like,
No, I think they have shagged carpet.
I was being facetious.
Oh,
I should heat this.
there you
I'm
go.
well-
There you go, facetioso.
Here's what I was going to say about our hopefully not misgendered friend. So, Shim.
Z.
Although he did say at the beginning of this, where is Deanna? And he seems to be making... Again, I don't want to assume gender, though. It may be a lesbian. He could be a lesbian. In fact, I mean,
Yes.
he's a Leonard Cohen fan, so he probably is a lesbian.
So he says, yes, alpha male, not some candy-ass beta male.
Cool.
Cool,
All right.
bro.
Sorry, I apologize, and I retract my lesbian statement.
But not our disdain for your racist commentary. Certainly not, sir.
Commentary.
Commentary. All right, we're bringing him in a moment here.
All
Where's
right.
he at?
Do you want to knock this crypto tax conversation between me and you out the park right now? Get it out of the way, or do you want to have that with Jordan?
No, we're going to bring him right in, baby.
All right. Bring it.
Bringing him
Jordan Payne!
right into the house. He's sideways.
What is going on, you crazy domestic terrorist that I love?
Hey, turn your phone sideways. Is that on your phone? There we go. Boom, you're good.
Hang on a second.
No,
I'm
you're-
trying to get it all figured out here.
All right, you're good, man.
There we go.
Salvi
Can you
said,
see
what
it
the
okay?
hell?
Salvi.
Hey! Jordan, you are on live with Mike Salvi across the world.
And you also have audio, which is a tremendous feat for me, and I want to apologize for last week again. I was out of that whole conversation, so we're going to rehash the whole entire conversation we had last week, but this time with better quality. You're looking superb. How's it going, man? Where are you at? Are you home or are you out on the road?
I'm home. I'm up in eastern Washington, pretty close to Canada, and just been doing farm work today with my kids, just clearing out the old hemp and getting ready to plant some other stuff, and just being a farmer. It's been a pretty good day. Took my kids for a ride around the land on the riding lawnmower with a little cart attached to it, so they had some fun.
Nice.
And just having a good day. Just been wheeling and dealing all day. What are you guys doing?
We're talking shit. We're shilling and we're chilling over here.
As usual.
As usual. Quick story, because you reminded me. I actually lived on a farm before my fiance and I bought the house we're living in now. We lived on a 110-acre farmhouse. We rented it out. The landlord was a huge C word. So that didn't go well. But just having that 1 year where we lived on that farm. Now, most of that land was farmed by a neighboring farmer. But we did have the opportunity to start gardening, start kind of getting into the farm life a little bit. And it feels so good to be out there on a nice hot day. Even if you're just in the garden or, pulling out the old hemp. Like you said, we're not pulling out the old hemp over here. We're not allowed to yet. It's something about it, man. It's just being out there in nature, man. Is that what you're doing on a daily basis now? Is it getting nice and warm up there yet or what?
It ain't warm up here yet. It's about 50 degrees and with a chilly wind. and overcast today. But we'll be seeing good weather here real soon. I'm sure of that.
So when you
And yeah, I mean we have about just a small place, about 7 acres, 7.5 acres, and we've got a little orchard, and we've got raspberries that come in, and all kinds of just a lot of natural beauty, a lot of natural natural like riches that the earth has given us, and I plant a lot of stuff here too. So we grew hemp here this past summer, and it was a real labor of love, and I really enjoyed it. But as a cash crop, it left a lot to be desired. So
there should be a good opportunity to have a Woodstock, a Page stock on the Page family homestead down there. I mean, or up there from us rather. You got a pretty your own version of Woodstock popping off anytime soon. Let's do this. Let's make some sort of crypto liberty event on your property.
Well,
like Woodstock.
It's funny. Every year at this community where I live, did I lose you guys?
No, you're there. Go ahead.
No, you're there. You're a little sideways though.
Okay. Every year, we have a festival here called the God and Country Festival. So I live in this community it's like an intentional Christian community. It's called Marble, and it was like a ghost town that these people kind of reinvented. It was like a town from the 1800s,
Oh wow.
that got left behind with the Depression, and then they brought it back. And so the folks up here, they're all really like liberty-minded people, and they don't like me to call them anarchists because they don't believe that's what they are. But if you examine the way that they do things here, it's as close to a functioning anarchist society as I've found anywhere. And I mean, they build their own roads. They solve their own disputes without involving the state. We do community projects where we clean things up and fix potholes, and just beautify the place and take care of the land together as a group. Everybody kind of watches out for each other. Everybody watches each other's children when they need. People step up. Like when little Michael was born back on March 4th, he had to go to the NICU for a week, and we had to have somebody.
Hold on a second. You have a son named Michael that was born on March 4th.
March 4th, my son.
My son Michael was born on March 4th.
Get out of here.
I swear to you. And my fiance, she's March 4th also. Wow. Go ahead. Continue.
Man,
That's awesome.
Kindred spirits.
Kindred spirits.
No coincidences in life, guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Michael was born on March 4th, and he had like an infection in his lungs. He was breathing 130 breaths a minute. He had to be medevaced down to Spokane to go to the NICU he was there for 5 days. And I had to be there with Mary. She had just given birth to a baby, and she wasn't physically able to do everything she needed to be able to do by herself down at the hospital. So I had to go with her. So the community all stepped up, and they without even bothering us with it, they just organized coverage for all of our children and meals for them for that entire week. And it just showed you what happens, like what kind of spontaneous order happens when people are just free and care about each other, like this real sense of community. It was pretty amazing. So they've been doing this experiment here for about 23 years, and it's worked really amazingly well. And they have a festival here every year called the God and Country Festival, where they bring speakers and bands and people to come up and participate in it. And it's like a little festival here on the grounds of the town, of this little town that we have here. It's pretty cool.
You talked about having a hard time convincing people that they were anarchists. I had a hard time. I think all of us did, understanding that that's actually what we were talking about this whole time. When did you switch from libertarian? Well, we were all libertarians, you know what I mean. But as being a philosophical anarchist, when did you realize that's what you were?
It took a few years of evolution for me to realize that the anarchist philosophy is really the logical conclusion of libertarian thought. So if you follow libertarianism and you understand the truth of it and the purity of it and really the beauty of it and the logic that's there, you come and you look at examples historically of libertarianism in society, you get a prosperous society. Everyone prospers under libertarian rules, and so, but anarchy has been largely misconstrued, and I refuse to even acknowledge it for a long time, because everyone that I talked to back then, they all wanted it to be Mad Max. I mean, like they were looking forward to the day when everyone wears, leather clothes for the rest of their life, and they're all, hunting each other, and all crap. A lot of followers I met from followers of Stefan Molyneux were like that, and they were trying to sell me on that crap.
Really?
And I was like, hell no, like that, like nobody wants that. I mean, I got kids. I don't want my kids having to live like that. It's not going to be like it is in the movies. People are going to be eating each other and raping each other. Like that's not the kind of world I want, But then I started to realize there are a lot of people came into my life that helped me to see the truth about that philosophy. Ernest Hancock was a big one for me, from Declare Your Independence and Freedom's Phoenix, the news site and radio station. Pete Ayers was a big one. John Bush, who's a good friend of mine from Texas, who is a staunch anarchist and fearless liberty fighter, and has taken on the fusion centers and taken on the police state, and on every front. He and his wife Catherine have been good friends of mine for years, and John really opened my eyes to it a lot too. Kokesh did to a degree. Like there were, and my good friend Rob Pepe, who is from Pennsylvania. He was a constable. He was a school board member, but he was trying to introduce the principles of anarchy and using those positions too, just to educate the community and people in power that freedom is the answer. So, there's a quote that I love that says the real measure of the state's success is that the word anarchy scares people and the word state does not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of blew my mind, and I felt like it was also a divine revelation. Like if you really examine Jesus's example and his teachings, I really think he is talking about the non-aggression principle and self-ownership. And I use the example that render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but give to God what belongs to God, as a way of approaching the monetary system. And that now that we have, I personally believe that blockchain is a divine revelation itself. The invention of the blockchain was a divinely inspired invention, and that it has provided us, and by us I mean the whole world, an alternative to the central banking cabals that control everything and do all the horrible things that make the world a miserable, awful place. And that using blockchain as an alternative monetary system would pretty much end their power more or less. And so I look at it, let's give Caesar back all of his money. Caesar can have his nasty blood money, and we'll use blockchain and Bitcoin and alternative cryptocurrencies and build our own economy, one not based on death and destruction and lies and evil.
Jordan, what do you say to the people who usually misquote Jesus or misinterpret what he's saying with the give unto Caesar? I mean, mostly I've heard people debate it and try to say that it's a argument for paying your taxes. I've heard people say that, which is not how I take it at all. It's not how, because how could you give unto Caesar what is Caesar's when everything, is God's? Is
sure,
that your interpretation of Jesus' quote?
I make the argument that I just made, that basically Caesar's money is bullshit. Okay, yeah. Like Caesar's money is a phantom. It doesn't exist. Give it back to him. He's saying.
Right. He said he first asks whose face is on it.
Yeah. Whose is this?
Yeah.
Well, give it back to him. Don't use it. He's saying don't use it. Like just give it back to him. Don't trade in it. I mean, who? What's the one example of Jesus committing an act of violence
The
in
bankers.
the scriptures? He whooped the hell out of those bankers. He whipped them with a whip.
Yeah.
He turned their tables over and whipped them. What does that tell you? He's telling you that usury is an evil thing. That whole scheme that keeps people in debt slavery, that it can never be paid back, and it's a perpetual madness that we've all just bought into and grew up in and born into, and so we don't really question it. But if you really look at the situation we're in, and we have an alternative now that's doesn't have all of the history and negative energy that our currency, our normal currency, has. Well, give it back to Caesar, man. That's just shit.
What do you say to the naysayers who say that crypto is like the mark of the beast? Yeah, that it's been created to control us. This is like the final evolution of the monetary control. Is that we think that we're freeing ourselves by using crypto, but we're being controlled by it. What do you say to them?
And Salvi says move to your right a little so you block the fan. It's hypnotizing him. But go ahead.
Okay. Hang on. Move to the right. All right, there we go.
He's having seizures.
Salvi just hypnotized by my beautiful face. That's what he's.
That's probably what it is.
He's got such a broner for me. It's insane. It's all like a good guy off when I'm around him.
Broner. I don't know if that's a West Coast thing, but we're gonna steal it and we're gonna spread it here on the East Coast.
Hashtag broner.
Well, go ahead, answer that, because I really want to know what you think, whether or not the mark of the beast exists, or if the mark of the beast, already exists in the form of a crypto, or will it be on the blockchain?
No, I'll tell you this, guys. I think it exists in many levels, just like I think the Antichrist exists on many levels. First of all, every barcode can numerically be broken down into 3 6s. Okay, there's a lot of information about this. Anybody who does any modicum of research on the barcode will learn that. So the mark of the beast is already there. It's the barcode that's on every saleable good on planet Earth. I mean, they've taught us to scan them ourselves. I mean, you go to the grocery store, the self-checkout aisle, you're scanning those barcodes yourself, and more or less, you can't buy or sell much in this world right now without a barcode on it. At least nothing that is included in mainstream commerce.
Yeah, I just posted a meme about that. It's my most controversial meme to date is the self-checkout thing, the arrogance of it and the control factor of it. And the immediate response was, yeah, but what about all those high-paying robot repair jobs?
That was just my response.
Was that your response?
Yeah,
that
me.
was somebody else said it too. Ridiculous, man. The arrogance of making me go scan my own shit. I don't work here. Bill Burr has the best skit on this. He's like, I count to 10, and if nobody shows up, they don't want their fucking money, and I leave. I push the cart out of the store.
Well, when they first put those machines in, nobody could figure it out because unidentified item in bagging area, and it was like, what the fuck does that mean? You move stuff around, you would scan it, it would say unidentified. It would just keep doing it. We were in South Carolina, me and my brother, and we wound up walking out only paying for half the stuff because we didn't know what to do. That was our first experience with these robots.
Well, the problem was you missed orientation. They didn't tell you which day to come in for orientation, so you didn't learn how to use the machines.
But they should have had people. I mean, there was a person, but they were just as new as us using it. They're just like, well, I guess that means put it in the bag. So we did. Sorry, Jordan.
Anyway, the mark of the beast.
Mark of the beast is already here. I mean, the mark of the beast could be many, many things. Verichip is a big concern. These little microchips, these RFID chips that can store, a tremendous amount of information and can be scanned. I mean, people are voluntarily taking these things now. It hasn't happened as quickly as I was anticipating that it would happen. but it is happening all over the world. More and more people are using it out of convenience. I mean, nobody's going to be forcing people. I don't think people are going to be forced to do this. I think they're going to be lining up in droves to do it. As the transhumanist movement continues, and man and machine merge more and more, it's just going to make perfect sense to people to get chipped and to get a scannable code. That it's convenient. You don't have to carry a wallet around with you anymore. Yep. I mean, what I say to people who are all about digital currency is the mark of the beast. Wake up. 90% of the currencies on Earth are digital. Only about 10% of the dollars that exist are in cash. It's not like 90% of them are digital dollars. So most currencies on Earth are already digital currencies. Sure. I mean, like all the hubbub about Bitcoin and blockchain is there to confuse people and to make them fearful and suspicious of a new system that would bring down the old system that they're used to. It's like Morpheus says in the Matrix. People, once it's past a certain age, man, they can't wake up, and they'll fight viciously to protect the very system that enslaves them.
Well, that's a scary thought, you know what I'm saying? To think that everything that you've known for your entire life since birth, whether it's monetary, schooling, the whole entire system as it's set up, to think that could one day not exist, whether for better or for not, what I'm saying, that could one day not exist, and just to try to visualize what that transition could be, I think for most people scares them so much into just shutting down and putting on those blinders and just kind of going along with, the daily routine. And it's like, how do you wake people up out of that? I mean, I know there was a point where when you first wake up, after you first wake up, you feel this insatiable need to wake other people up. And then after a certain amount of time, you kind of hit a wall, where people aren't listening. Maybe you're not giving the information properly. Maybe the information you're talking about it's too many steps ahead. Like you got to take a couple steps back. And then you hit this point where you're just like, all right, I give up. I'm not going to convince anybody anymore. I mean, have you hit that point? Have you gone through those kind of steps in waking people up? Have you found that you hit a wall in people wanting to even hear this information?
What I do, guys, is I don't allow it to stop me. If people, I mean, even Jesus couldn't help everybody. That I mean, he's walking around. He said there's too many people. There's too many. I can't help them all. Yeah. They're overwhelming me. So like, if he can't help everybody, how can I? Like, all I can do is tell the truth as I see it, and my truth hasn't changed. I mean, I have the benefit of being right all the time. So that's pretty awesome for me. Yes. I love being right. So I get to be right all the time, and I can prove that I'm right. Whereas the other side, like, whether you're on the right or the left, you're wrong at least half the time.
Yep.
Like libertarians and anarchists get to be right all the time. And because we take what's true from the left and we own that. And we take what's true from the right and we own that. And we're in the middle and looking at these two, moronic factions of statism and just saying, what the hell is the matter with you people? But I find the best way of waking people up is with pertinent questions. The asking the right questions at the right time. And one question I've always asked people is, if there was a meteor coming toward the Earth and it was going to hit the Earth in 2 years and there was no way to stop it and they know about it, they're just not telling anyone. But what if you had proof that it was going to happen? Would you want to know? If you had 2 years to live before the meteor hit the Earth. And people who say, no, I wouldn't want to know, they're not ready to know anything. They're not ready to know that the world is being controlled by Luciferian Masonic psychopaths who murder children. Yeah, they're not ready to know that shit.
You just turn around and walk away at that point? I gotta go.
No, I just tell them, like, the truth will set you free. Most of that is based in fear. I had a lady read me the Riot Act one time because I sang a song No. She had been to one of my shows at a bar, and a bunch of my buddies and I were sitting around a table, and she was sitting with us, and I posed the question to the table, do any of you think that 9/11 could have been an inside job? Mm-hmm. And it started sparking some debate, and people were talking to each other, which is what we're supposed to be doing. And this lady stood up, bent over me because I'm sitting down, looked at me with eyes of hatred, absolute hatred, stuck her finger in my face, called me a traitor and a liar, and that I should be like arrested for even saying something like that. That the how dare I insinuate that our government would do that, right? Mm-hmm. And I talked, I mean, she made a scene, and she pointed at everybody else at the table, and she said, "You're all stupid for even talking about this." I mean, she wigged out. She had an allergic reaction to this idea, okay? And over the course of the night, I talked to her a lot. The main thing to do in the situations is to be calm and take the high ground, and not flip out on a person, and show, because they're clearly having a hard time. This isn't about you. Like, it wasn't about me. This was about her and her difficulties processing that information. And I asked her the question. I said, humor me. In 20 years, if it comes out undeniably with evidence, with undeniable evidence that the U.S. government orchestrated the 9/11 attacks in order to start the war on terror, I said, how would that make you feel? And she said, and she sat there and thought about it, and she looked at me. She says, "Well, I'd be devastated." I said, "That's why you're having such a hard time with this, because it's an emotional reaction." Okay? And I understand the emotional reaction, because you have to have that if you're going to become invested in the fight for freedom. You have to have an emotional reaction, but you also have to have the background in logic and fact as well. You have to be willing to balance your desire for it to be true with your wishes for it not to be true. You have to be in the middle and just be okay with whatever the truth actually is. You know, one thing that I've always told God is, show me what's real. Show me the real truth. If everybody's got it wrong, show me how they've got it wrong, because I want to know, even if it hurts to find out. Even if I'm completely destroyed by what I find out, I want to know, so then I can be on the right path. If you and I have an argument and you've got a better argument than me, and I'm wrong and you can prove it to me, you're my best friend, because I don't want to live in ignorance. I don't want to live under a false paradigm like I have most of my life, up till I was 25.
Jordan,
so I want to know what the
when you first found out the most recent revelations with Pizzagate, right? Podesta and all this. This was kind of like a glimpse into their inside, what's going on. And as you dig deeper and you learn more and more about this, I'm sure you're doing the same research that we're doing. When was it made too real for you? Like, I mean, we're all in agreement here, right? It's 100% fact. That's what's going on. And I've always been in tune with the whole Illuminati is satanic and all this. You know, I've always researched it. I've said those words in the past 10 years. But a year and a half ago, when this WikiLeaks stuff came out and you dug and looked into the Podestas, wasn't it like 100% real at that point for you? Every just confirmation of the craziest shit you've ever heard and looked into is all on the table at this point. That's what you're up against. Like, how crazy was that for you with the realization of that?
Well, I'm going to tell you guys a story that I told you last week, but I'm going to expand on it this time for anybody listening. So it was certainly confirmation of things I already knew, but I had gotten firsthand confirmation about this stuff years before. So even before I really woke up hard, because it was the end of 2006, I think. Yeah, it was the end of 2006 that I started my waking up process when I wrote my song Pendulum. I lived in Annapolis, Maryland at the time, and I was driving home at night, and I looked to my left in the parking lot of the giant supermarket, and I saw this man in a wheelchair trying to get up on the curb, and he was in like a motorized wheelchair, and he was having a really hard time getting up onto the curb. And I pulled in. I could see him from the road, so I pulled in, Good Samaritan, and got out, and I helped him up on the curb. He shook my hand, and I noticed that his legs had been amputated below the knee, and he couldn't. This guy couldn't have weighed more than, like, I don't know, 80 pounds. I mean, he was just like shriveled and gnarled and wasting away. He had 2-inch long fingernails, and he was just a mess. But he had a really kind voice and a lot of sadness in his personality. But he was kind, And so we got into talking, and it turned out he lived in the same apartment complex that we did. And I said, well, let's get together sometime, I mean, he seemed like he was a pretty lonely guy and was very happy to be talking to me. And I said, let's strike up a friendship and see what's there, And so Mary and I got together with him a lot of times. I mean, every week we spent time with him, basically, for about 6 months. This one night we're over at his place, and he tells us that the disease that he has, which caused him to have his legs amputated, couldn't be explained. It was in medical journals and doesn't even have a name, and that the scientists that have studied him told him that he would have been better off having AIDS than having this disease, because it was basically more or less making him kind of decompose while he's still alive. And it was the weirdest thing, and nobody could explain it. He was, like I said, he was in medical journals, and I had brought my guitar over to his apartment. He had made us dinner. And I started playing, after dinner, I started playing Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. And by the end of the song, I could look over and I could see just tears streaming down his face. And one part of the story I should mention is that he had no family. Like, his family would have nothing to do with him. Okay? And he, we were always trying to figure out why, but he would never talk about it. He just said that he has no family and they won't have anything to do with him. So I said to him, Mike, why are you crying, buddy? Like, what's the matter? And he looked at me and he says, well, I believe God has smited me. And I said, well, why do you think that? And he says, for the sins of my youth. I said, well, what did you do? He says, throughout the 70s and 80s, he says, I ran an underground escort service for senators and congressmen with children.
Yeah. Wow.
And he explained that they get these guys on camera raping these kids and killing them sometimes, and they have them forever. Like, the powers that control those situations have them under their thumb, and they'll keep getting reelected. They never have a hard time getting reelected.
Jordan, when was this?
That's never the problem.
When was that? What year?
That was probably that. I think that was in 2000. It had to be 2000, like early 2006, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, it had to be. And this is before I really woke up. This is before my big political revelations and anti-war, and before I became who I am now.
What was that?
I had this information.
With Ron Paul, or was it 2012?
No, I wrote Pendulum in December of 2006. Okay. So that song was the beginning, because I didn't know shit. Mm-hmm. And when I wrote that song, it was a gift that was given to me, and it prompted me to start learning. But I knew about that kind of stuff from this guy, right? So fast forward years later, I'm sitting. I have a lot of friends throughout the country who are in positions of government, and who are liberty type people. And I've got a really good friend who's a state rep, and I can't say who he is or what state, but he tells me, but this is a true story. So we're sitting around his dinner table with a buddy of mine who's completely uninitiated. He has no idea any of this stuff. He's as uninformed as you could possibly get. And me and my state rep friend are going back and forth with these stories. So I tell them that story I just told you, okay, about this child trafficker, and he says, well, I can top that one.
Oh shit!
And I said, all right, I gotta know. I gots to know. And he says, he says that a very close friend of his is also a state rep, and that person was at the state fair in their state, and that he and his wife were very good friends with Harry Reid and Harry Reid's family for many, many years. Before Harry Reid ever went to Washington and went into politics, they were they're family friends. So they're at the state fair, and they see Harry Reid walking around with his entourage of men in black. The Secret Service guys.
I don't know. Yeah.
And,
Go ahead.
And he waves to Harry Reid. He and his wife wave to Harry Reid. Harry, hey. So Harry Reid stops, looks at them, turns to his entourage, tells them to stay there and wait. He walks over to them very slowly, very solemnly, puts an arm around each of them, the husband and the wife, and turns them around and starts walking them in the opposite direction of his entourage. And he says, and I quote, "Wonderful to see you both. I sold my soul to the devil. They're holding my family hostage. We can never get out. Have a nice life." And then he gave them a gentle shove and told them to keep walking.
Wow.
It just gave me the chills.
So you think they have video of Harry Reid doing something to where they could hold him under their boot?
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. You think that he got injured from working out? You think he got his entire body black and blue from a workout injury? No, he got his ass handed to him. He got beat down for the Bundy standoff going the way that it went. Yeah. He is completely owned, bought and paid for, and is as in can be. You don't get into these upper echelons of these satanic circles without completely being incriminated in the worst way possible. They don't give you any kind of power like that or protection. Protection, right? Yeah. The way that they do to enact this horrific agenda that they have without them having evidence against you. I mean, that's what the whole Skull and Bones Society does. They get these guys doing homosexual acts with each other, and then they own them forever. I mean, it's they get them on camera doing that kind of stuff, and then like the deeper you get into the Freemason stuff, I've known a lot of Freemasons. I've listened to interviews with a lot of former Freemasons who tell you exactly what's going on. They take you naked to a door, stripped of all your clothing, and they present you, here stands so-and-so who was born in darkness and now seeks the light. And what they're saying is that you were in the image of God is darkness. Your natural form that God gave you, your spirit, the way you were born, was darkness, and you seek the light of Lucifer. And they take you in, and you basically, to get to each level, you have to curse yourself. You have to do blood curses against yourself and your descendants. I got a buddy who is a descendant of 33-degree Freemasons, and he says that he went to Scotland and snuck into one of their castles there because he knew the handshake and he knew the secret words, and he stole this book in order to break his blood curse on his family. And he told me that he took the book out to like this peninsula by himself in this little rental car in Scotland, and and the whole thing is he has to read the incantation that cursed his family. He has to read it in reverse. All right, so he's reading it in reverse, and he says that he this uncontrollable urge to yawn came over him, and he couldn't close his mouth. He was physically trying to close his mouth but couldn't. It was like some force was stopping him from completing the ceremony. And then as soon as he got back going in again, he says the entire car got covered in flies. Like he couldn't see out his windows. The car was like entirely covered in millions of flies, and he got so freaked out by the experience he just drove off and never completed it because it was like almost physically impossible to get through it because of the hold that it had on his bloodline. Mm-hmm. I mean, like these things are real. Like I don't call it dark magic. It's just satanic energy. You know, you have the Holy Spirit and you have the opposite of that.
Wow.
And these things are real. I mean, I've experienced these things myself in my own ways. I've experienced the Holy Spirit. I know what that's all about, and that's the side that I'm on. You know, but I've encountered the evil as well that's in the world in very tangible ways, and I know how powerful it is and how vicious it is and how disgusting it is.
Jordan, do you
And,
know
I mean,
anything about
people,
the black eyes that people in the higher ups, you know, politicians? Do you know anything about this? How they all seem to be wind up coming out with a black eye or broken arms and broken legs.
Broken legs. Well, hold up. Before you get into that, I don't want to go too crazy here. I think it's too late. But
we're way past that,
we're
bro.
way past that shit. It's
ra-
9 o'clock. It's
raining
actually
us in.
9:02. I got to give away some Nexus for the Nexus community.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going to step right back into this. I want to talk about QAnon and basically with that, try to extrapolate from this whole thing that you're saying. How do we what stops it? What's the end to it? And do you believe if QAnon is a real connection to seeing that end coming up soon, and then also the ties into the music industry?
Oh, God.
But before we get into that,
And just to point out that QAnon is on this tip 100%. He really is.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
you say what you want about whether or not it's COINTELPRO or whatever, but they're talking all the same stuff that Jordan's talking.
yeah. So as always and as promised, we are going to be announcing another Nexus community giveaway of 100 Nexus. They did it a little different this week. They actually gave first place, second place, and a third place prize away with a special announcement going along with it. So without the drum roll, we will just announce.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to first place with 60 Nexus is at Lee from the Slack channel. Second place with 40 Nexus is at Brutus from the Slack channel. And in third place with 20 Nexus is Mike Trant from Reddit.
Now, how does that work? You can sign up for this through Reddit?
So you could sign up. All you have to do is every week he posts a link in Slack, and I'm sure the other places, Reddit, Discord, and you just go there. You have to have a Nexus wallet address, obviously, and you have to have some sort of screen name. So
I just
either
wanna
a
point
Slack
out
screen name or something.
That you can use a Bittrex Nexus wallet. You can. Because
can.
Greg did that.
All
you
right,
know?
something else to point out. As always, this is chosen at random. He gets all the entries onto a spreadsheet. He asked somebody. So he asked last week's winner to pick the random numbers who chose first, second, and third place. There were 104 unique entries in this giveaway. And since March 1st, community has given away over 500 Nexus, which is awesome. With this week's giveaway, our prize pool was officially exhausted until 2 days ago, that is. The Nexus core team donated 1,000 more Nexus to give away to the community, however I see fit. This means you have more weeks of free Nexus and more weeks of me annoying you to remember to enter. Next week, there will be 200 Nexus, 100 to 2 separate winners given away to celebrate. Stay tuned. So we will be posting this link as soon as it's available on our Corrected Axiom Facebook page and the Twitter page so that you can enter if you are
There is
interested.
The smallest chance, and I should have asked Spade about this, but there's the smallest chance that I didn't even enter this week because I was afraid of entering twice.
I thought I did that too, and I just went for it.
You did it twice then?
No, I only entered once. But I had the same thought process because I've been doing it every week.
Right.
And I've been kind of losing
Yeah,
track of what the hell
I didn't
was.
know when I put it in there, and I was like, if I didn't, so then I was like, maybe I should do it right now. And I'm like, I think I did it already. I didn't want to put 2 in there. I didn't want, because can you imagine the fiasco if there was 2 in there and Spade called me out for it in Slack or something?
Oh, yeah.
Like we're announcing the winner and I put in 2 fucking things.
Yeah, I think there's this very slim chance that we'll ever win this thing since we're announcing it. So really,
Right.
we're just helping. I don't know. It's chosen at random, but I just feel like I'm not that lucky. If it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all.
Congratulations to the 3 winners.
Congratulations.
We're doing 2 winners next week, I believe.
Well, and we also have 5 free Nexus that we're giving away from the Corrected Axiom stash. That has literally just ended 2 minutes, 5-6 minutes ago. We're going to draw that a little bit later on.
Okay.
I want to get back to the conversation. So, jumping right back into it, Jordan. With all this being said, I mean, we got comments in the Slack. Oh, this is nothing new. This is, well known for a long time now. Not comments
Sure.
in the Slack, comments in the chat. I'm sorry.
I'm watching the Slack.
I think a lot of people are aware of this, or in some degree are aware that this kind of thing is going on. I think most people are just waking up to this. My question to you is, with all this being said, the stories that you're telling and the things that you know of, how do we get over this hump and to the point where even the controlled, congressmen and senators who are being blackmailed, how do we get past this? How do we take that next step to kind of opening up the doors and showing what the hell's going on here?
Well, critical mass consciousness, I think, is a big part of that, which is education, which is what you're doing right now. It's what I've been doing for the last 11 years of my life. It's what you all are doing with your music and with your shows, with your words. I mean, anybody who hears this message and understands it and does any amount of research and commits to the fight has to tell everybody they know about it. I mean, if you don't open your mouth and tell people, they don't know. I mean, I agree with the person who said in the chat that this is well known, but it's only well known to so many people. Now, people in general understand that the Clintons, for example, are like the worst people on earth. And, the devil doesn't like to be exposed. So exposure of these people is pretty critical to this whole thing coming down. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein goes down, and now anybody who was on the Lolita Express is now under scrutiny, and that's good. It's good that we know that Bill Clinton was on that flight like 46 times.
Hey, does that include Trump? Was Trump on that flight?
Trump?
Yeah.
I don't know if he was. I don't know.
What, on the Lolita?
I know Kevin Spacey was. I know Kevin Spacey was down at the sex slave island that Epstein had. Mm-hmm. I mean,
Trump definitely had flown on that Lolita Express,
according to the Black Book. Yes.
Yeah, he definitely did.
It wouldn't surprise me, and I am no Trump supporter. Don't ever confuse me for a Trump supporter. I look at him as just like a white Obama. I mean, it's all misdirection. I mean, as soon as you asked me earlier when as soon as I found out that there's 16 levels of top secret clearance higher than the president, that's when I knew. I was like, oh, okay. So the presidency and all that stuff is all bullshit, and there's these other people that run everything.
But on a spiritual level, Jordan, the fact that you're dealing with like principalities, spiritual wickedness is the only thing I could say. Well, you have a continuation of the what went on in what we consider to be ancient civilizations with like Babylon, sacrificial virgins and whatnot. And can't you see the connection between what's going on with the stealing and robbing of innocence today with the evil empires of the past? And when you look at this Epstein shit and the Spacey stuff, the fact that there's this whole gay culture within what they do, and that's what was kind of going on in Greece and ancient Rome with the leaders too. Like, what is that weird connection, or what is it about power that winds up wanting to do this, rob the innocence of children? That's a rhetorical question, really, but I want you to answer it.
It comes down to satanic belief.
Yeah.
If you study the tenets of Satanism, pedophilia is at the heart of all of it. Okay? Now, not to say that homosexuality and pedophilia are the same thing, because clearly they're not. But there is a link there, and there is. Like if you read any of Aleister Crowley's writings or Anton LaVey's writings, I mean, most of the Satanists today are following their books and their teachings, and they advocate introducing children as young as 3 years old to sexual intercourse and getting them to do these rites and rituals and participate in sacrifices. I mean, if you listen to the testimony of people who have survived some of these human hunting parties in Britain with the royal family, if you listen to some of the people that have survived satanic ritual abuse and who have lived through it and broke their conditioning and MK Ultra type stuff, they tell you that all the horrors that they've been through. It all comes down to destroying God's creation, and I mean, Jesus himself said it would be better for you to put a millstone around your neck than to hurt one of these little ones, right? And so corrupting innocence is a prime part of it. But there's also the idea that in the satanic, I guess, circles, they believe that you can feed off of the energy.
Yeah.
So they try to create situations where they create terror, absolute terror in their victims, and they like psychic vampires almost. They feed off that crap. They believe that their demonic energies that control them feed off that and makes them powerful. I mean, they'll wait till a child is 7 or 8 at the age of reason, and they'll skin them alive in order to get their all the endorphins coming from that like, you know, agonizing sensation and the terror and the fear and then they drink their blood to get high off of it. It's part of their it's like a sacrament for them. And there's witnesses that have seen these things happen. I mean, I know that's like the most horrible thing you can ever imagine, but that stuff goes on in this world, you know, and there is a war. There's wars on everybody now, but there's certainly a war on Christianity, on the Christian religion in general, and there's a reason for that. You know, it's because people like us who stand in the way of these folks getting their way, you know, we're the enemy, you know, and so they try to demonize us and you know, and they'll divide and conquer thing between all of these little groups, trying to create discord and disunity in our country and in the population, and you know, and destroy all different alliances people have, so that we're all fighting each other, because it's way easier to get the poor to kill each other than for them to have to use their resources to kill us. So it's a long play. It's a long play towards world domination, and I know how it sounds. Like, to the untrained ear, to the uneducated mind, I know how it sounds because it was said to me, and I was like, bullshit. This is nonsense. There's no way this is real.
Well, did
And
you
then
ever?
much to my-
Did you wind up going into, like, you're involved in music, and did you ever see anything in the industry prior to knowing what you know now? Do you have any stories from that aspect of it? Because, I mean, obviously, we want to get to talking about your views on Hollywood. I mean, we kind of brushed on it with the Kevin Spacey stuff. But the music industry, obviously, is using heavy symbolism. And also, they are the controllers of culture in our country. Mm-hmm. And they are pushing an agenda, clear as day. And there's a lot of satanic devil worship going on within these people, you know what I mean? And it's open at this point. But did you ever experience anything firsthand in the music industry?
Not personally, no. But I got friends in the hip hop world who have, and they told me that they were basically given an ultimatum that they had to allow themselves to be sodomized in order to get the record deal that they wanted.
Yeah.
That everyone does it. That all the major moguls like Jay-Z and all these people, that they've all had to go through these initiations and be sodomized and again on camera, and they own those people too. They're all completely owned, and a lot of them, people like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Katy Perry, these poor girls have been MK Ultra from the time they were kids. They were groomed to be these people. I mean, when Britney Spears lost her shit and shaved her head, she was doing that as an act of rebellion against her handlers. And a little known fact is that a picture came out around that time of her in that barber shop where she shaved her own head, and she's looking in the mirror smiling, and what the camera picks up is a Masonic tattoo on the back of her head. She was trying to show the world that tattoo and break free from her handlers, and that picture was quickly wiped, but I saw it a number of times, but it was quickly wiped from the internet. It's very hard to find now. And
what is it? What is it a tattoo of? Is it a triangle?
Challenge accepted.
Doc's looking for it now.
It was the compass. What the hell is it called?
The square and compass.
The square and compass. Yeah, the like the Masonic symbol. It was on the back of her head.
We got Doc digging.
the picture was looking at the back of her head through a window, and you see her face in the mirror smiling, like looking down and smiling, because she had taken her life in her own hands and said, the hell with you people, and had broken free, at least for a moment. The next time you see her perform is at the MTV Awards, and it's like she's drugged.
Was that the Slave for You performance?
I think so. She's not even dancing.
Yeah.
She's just walking around half naked.
Yeah, she's a mess.
And is just a complete mess. She's devastated. And that was after that event.
Think about those lyrics too. She's performing "I'm a slave for you." Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Because she literally, it literally was. I mean, they had control of her children. They killed Michael Jackson because he was taunting them publicly, telling them he was going to out them to the whole world. He said it on a number of occasions. He named names. People who were in the Illuminati, who were into pedophilia. He named Tommy Mottola.
Yeah.
He was naming names.
Tommy Mottola is a devil. He is a devil.
Yeah, not long after that, he was dead.
Yeah.
Whitney Houston dead. I mean, all these people end up dead. They're either being sacrificed or they know too much. I think Chris Cornell and the guy from Lincoln Park, same thing. Chris Cornell was looking into this whole Pizzagate thing.
What do you know about that? What do you know about his charity?
I don't know much about his charity. I just know, like, I know he was looking into all this stuff, and that there's a lot of people that were close to him were saying that he and Chester had both gotten into, like, really deep into exposing the pedophile cults in the entertainment business, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. Now, here's the thing, guys. Again, I mean, you need proof for sure. You need proof before you can go down the rabbit hole completely. But there's such a pattern with these things. They happen over and over and over again. And if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. Okay. And I personally no longer need, like, a tremendous amount of hard evidence to more or less assume that's what happened, when it's following the same pattern that all these other things that we have evidence for have followed in the past. I mean, I know what's going to happen to a ball if it rolls off a table. If it keeps rolling, it's going to fall. I don't need to see it fall necessarily, know that it's going to fall. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, I think Chris Cornell was a good person, and I think that he was on the path to outing this stuff, maybe using his influence, and the wrong people understood that, and they took him down. They could take anybody down anytime they want. I mean, killing a person is the easiest thing in the world.
Hey, something I wanted to bring up last week that I forgot, I didn't have a chance to, was Corey Feldman claims that he was, did you see this, that he was stabbed with a syringe recently, I think last week or the week before.
I didn't hear that. I heard he was stopped by
there was a car that was chasing him down. They stopped. Somebody came around to his side of the car, reached into the window, and allegedly stabbed him in the abdomen with a syringe, he was claiming. He went to the hospital. They didn't find any puncture marks, anything like that. What's your take on the Corey Feldman situation in this past year, where he's been claiming that he's going to out, this huge pedophile ring of Hollywood, but then sets up, a GoFundMe to try to get $1 million or $10 million? What's your feel on that? Is he 100% legit? Is he 50%?
I think Corey Feldman is an idiot, but I think he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
I've never had a very high opinion of him, but I think he is telling the truth. And I think Corey Haim, who was his best friend, was being sodomized by a lot of different people. Charlie Sheen being one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he was the first and got him started in that way. And I think that all that stuff screwed with him so badly, and he got hooked on drugs and depression and inevitably killed himself. And I think Corey Feldman, I think a lot of things happened to Corey Feldman too. I mean, these guys were the it kids in the 80s. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, and they were in a million movies that I saw. Yeah. And It doesn't surprise me at all what he's saying. It fits the narrative. It makes sense. I mean, it would be better if he were a more credible person, but I do believe that his story is credible.
He also defended Michael Jackson because he had said that that he was actually his friend or whatever. He didn't actually. The Michael Jackson stuff really I find fascinating because, I mean, everything though in the pop culture you could just see this like deterioration of like even their the entire storylines for all of these people within like pop culture seems to have mental disorder right now. like it's deteriorated down. There was actually a really interesting article from Paul Joseph Watson just the other day talking about Facebook and how it's collectively destroying humanity and taking what was already an ADD-infested group of children and just speeding it up. And, I mean, kids are staring at iPads now, obviously, all across the board, right? And this instant gratification and short-circuiting of children's mind, or even people in general's mind, overload. Like you get so much information in a short amount of time, you can't take enough time to focus in on one thing. You know what I mean? And like, do you think that this whole Facebook, social media thing right now is a part to help us keep, or it's something to help keep us enslaved mentally? Do you think that that's on purpose, or is this a side effect of technology? And do you keep your kids away from technology?
I mean, I do my best, It's kind of hard because I'm always on the computer. I'm always on my phone. I'm always using digital means to do what I do. I mean that it's how Daddy does his job. I think that the powers that be realize that there is or maybe they didn't know ahead of time, but they figured out that there's a dopamine response when people stare at screens, and when you get a like, you get 10 likes, you get 100 likes. It's a dopamine response, and we are all addicted to that dopamine surge, and that somehow it adds to our view of self and our self-worth. Facebook is like the biggest data mining operation on planet Earth, where people voluntarily give all of their most innermost secrets and desires and pictures of their homes and their children over to the CIA. I mean, it's absolutely an operation that's been co-opted since day one, and it's done a very effective job of manipulating culture. They manipulate people's view of what's going on in the world. They manipulate everything through Facebook because there's like 1 billion people on Facebook. So yeah, I think it is. I call Facebook the portal to hell because it's a place where people can interact with each other without any consequence. You like the shit that people say to each other on Facebook, they would never say in a normal conversation face to face. They're losing touch with reality. People are losing touch with the interaction with other human beings. It's much easier to collectivize through social media because there's no human consequence to that. There's no human interaction there. You're removed from the person you're talking to through a digital interface, a cold, emotionless digital interface where you can be as awful as you want to be without any real reprisal other than an argument in a thread, and it is kind of sick, and it does drain me at times, and I have to take breaks from it. But ultimately, I use it as a tool for education and for mobilization. I mean, fire and water can keep you alive, or they can kill you. Facebook's no different. I everywhere I go, I see people, young people and old people, staring into their phones and not talking to each other. You have people you have 4 people sitting at a table having a meal, and they're all looking at their phones and not talking to each other. That like Orwell predicted that. Yeah. Philip K. Dick predicted that. Like these things, we knew these things were going to happen with this kind of technology, and it's and it's still in its infancy. Imagine where we're going to be in 100 years. You know, people may not even be touching each other anymore. There may be no human experience anymore between human beings.
Which
Who
takes me
knows?
to another conspiracy theory that I have. Not even conspiracy. Would you see what's going on with the transgender agenda? Transgender. Transgender. And did you ever read the fact? I think we talked about this before, Doc. That in Japan, like an unprecedented number of 30-year-old virgins exist now, and you have the sex robots coming in now. You know, where they're starting to. It's so lack of actual human interaction, and there's, I guess, a lot of nerds out there. I mean, I don't know how much of that is also because of the Fukushima thing. Who knows? That might be adding to it too. But in that article that I was reading was just talking about how culture was moving in that direction. 30-year-old virgins is creating a crisis for the future population in Japan. Can you see, like, with what's going on in culture now, a move? And is this something to depopulate? Is it a soft kill, depopulation maneuver? When you have the promotion of these things, I don't want to get into like stuff that Alex Jones is talking about, but they're turning the frickin' frogs gay. You know, like, is that a problem? Is that a part of this plan? Is this what's going on? And why are they doing that with the youth, trying to normalize all these things, including pedophilia right around the corner? Go ahead.
Well, you just asked about 15 questions. So let me try to.
We don't have much time.
Let me try to answer that as best I can. I think there is a very concerted effort to emasculate men in general. You know, like and that is done through media for sure. I mean, like that's how they get the message out and brainwash people. It's also done through government schools. I mean, the effort to emasculate, men every generation is nothing new, but it is a very real thing, and we see it all the time. I come from an old school way of doing things, but I'll address the transgender thing. I know a lot of transgender people, and they're some of the most wonderful people you'd ever want to meet. They're full of love, and they're full of sadness and confusion and heartache. And I have not met one who's not been through the ringer and been through a hell of a lot in their life. But I am also not of the opinion that we should take a person who has what is classified as a mental disorder, gender dysphoria, which is a real serious thing, and placate that population. I mean, you wouldn't do that with a person who's schizophrenic. You wouldn't, the treatment of schizophrenia includes helping that person to understand that the people that they see and people that they hear are not real. They're not really there, and getting them to understand that, But instead, with gender dysphoria, because it serves an agenda, it serves a political agenda. They're being placated and they're being introduced as a majority opinion when it's a tiny fraction of people that have this really unfortunate mental illness. It doesn't make them bad people. They're in the most terrible situation you could ever want to be in. I mean, could you imagine being in that situation? I wouldn't ever want to be in that situation. I feel for them. I really do. I don't harbor them any ill will, and they have the same human rights that everyone else does, But infringing on other people's rights in order to level some playing field that will never be level is madness. But that's the left's agenda. They want to accuse their MO is to accuse their enemies of doing the things that they're doing. They're the ones that are pushing a destructive agenda, a violent agenda. I mean, what do you think abortion is? That's like the most violent agenda there is.
Yeah.
You
want to have a march for our lives, but not talk about what about the march for life? Nobody ever covers the march for fucking life. Millions something people every year, march on to Washington and pro-life march, and instead we have a march for our lives these days where we're literally protesting to take away our own rights. And we're getting a lot of shit in the chat channels right now because this is supposed to be crypto and chat. But people need to understand something and realize that what a lot of people find in crypto, and I will draw this correlation to all the crazy shit we're talking about right now, is an escape, a route of escape from the shit that we're talking about now. Most of the people involved in crypto are awake and are attuned to the things that we're discussing in some fashion. And they see that the financial systems, along with the social media systems and brainwashing and media and Hollywood and music and all these things put together, are literally there controlling us or are built to control our lives in every single aspect. And people find themselves falling into crypto once they start going down these pathways because they're looking for an out. They're looking for a way to try to retain some of their own individuality and some of their own freedom. So when people in the chat are giving a shit about not talking about crypto, guess what? This is all crypto. You know what I'm saying? This is all returns us back to seeking some sort of way out and seeking to try to find like-minded individuals and try to empower each other to spread this kind of news. I mean, to most people, this isn't really news, but I mean, do you agree that once you?
I do. Let me address that too, because there's something that needs to be said there. Crypto was never about, in the beginning, crypto was never about Bitcoin, blockchain. It was never about getting rich. Okay? It was about subverting an evil monetary system. It was about subverting the Federal Reserve. That's what it's about. The Federal Reserve funds all the shit that we're talking about. The Federal Reserve and the international banks, they're all part of it. Okay, worldwide. This isn't unique to America. It's a worldwide problem. Okay, and crypto was always about liberating humanity. It's a big piece of it because we're all slaves to their monetary system. We're all stuck. Everyone is stuck in this monetary system. Blockchain is paving the way for us to get out of that and remove ourselves. That's how we withdraw our consent. We stop using their fucking money.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
Especially you, Australia.
Liberty.
I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah,
Nick Wright, Australia. You guys got a real fucked up situation down there. I'm just saying. It's bad.
But see, internationally, that's not what crypto's about anymore. Now that once Bitcoin went to the moon, it was all about getting rich, and being traders and just accumulating wealth and riding this wave, riding that wave. For me, I was an early adopter of Bitcoin, and I was paying my rent with it. I was buying my groceries with it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who did that. We've spent probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin on minuscule everyday stuff because we were using it as an alternative to the dollar to get out from under the Federal Reserve System. Never thought in a million years it would become as big as it's become. Because that's not what it was about for us. And that's what it has to get back to is that liberty philosophy that's behind it. Because we have to break free from these international monetary cabals. We got to get away from them.
Do you find it interesting that this is my new conspiracy theory involving crypto, that the price of Bitcoin exploded right before the first of the year, and then the writing of the new tax code for cryptocurrencies and claiming is as vague and weird as it is, and nobody really understands what it actually means. And certainly not tax experts who are going to go and then file your taxes. And there was just an article written by Zero Hedge and shared by our good friend of the show, Peter Schiff, friend of the show.
Big friend of the show. He was on the first episode. Almost. Second episode.
Second episode.
Yeah.
Did we lose Jordan?
Yeah, I think we lost. Did we lose him? Yeah, we lost him. That's all right. Keep it going.
What was I saying?
Keep your thought going.
Well, I wanted him to answer this. Now you're going to have to answer it, and I know you don't want to.
Let's do it. I'll answer anything.
You don't want to answer it.
AMA.
How about them in the...
Oh, you're talking about taxes?
Yeah.
Let's let Universal Consulate General, the most fucking wise, all-wise man of the chats, ask your question. Let's
riddle me this,
this
General Universe. Is it possible that all that money first off, you have the futures market is definitely manipulating the price of Bitcoin. point blank, I've saying it since October. That's what's going on with Bitcoin. You also have a lot of novices to the tax code, which is everybody. Like 99.9% of Americans are novices to the tax code. It's an overcomplicated, on purpose, slavery mechanism keeping us all enslaved. You know what I mean? And nobody really understands it. They pay somebody to go do it for them, and then they hope to get a couple of pennies back, and they celebrate, and they call it a refund when it's really just a tax, or excuse me, the change on your slave tax. But anyway, if the price of Bitcoin jumped right before the first of the year, I'm suspect of it, being that it came back down to earth. There's a lot of people that bought at 16. Pull up. Excuse me, at 20, it was where it peaked, right?
Yeah.
Pull up on Zero Hedge the article about the guy who owns $50,000 in taxes who didn't even generate that much, certainly didn't pull out that much out of crypto. And I wouldn't even, because I understand why you don't want to talk about this. You know what I mean? I wanted to talk
Not
to Jordan.
be discussed.
I understand, but we should, because this is just going to lead you into the whole mentality.
The whole
mentality of this little thing we got going on.
Here's that article. I just discovered I owe the IRS $50,000 I don't have because I traded cryptos.
Traded cryptos.
Traded
We're
it.
not talking about selling Bitcoin.
A Reddit user who was surprised to learn he owed the IRS roughly $50,000 from his crypto trading profits, money that he had not set aside when he cashed out his Bitcoins at the height of the boom, complained in a viral post that crypto trading ruined his life. This is what taxes do, though, right? They ruin your fucking life in every single way. The alleged trader who uses the screen name Thoway, explained that he bought 8 Bitcoins for around $7,200 in January 2017, then cashed them out in December for about $120,000. Damn, man. You didn't put $50,000 to the side? Here's the catch. His altcoin investments quickly sunk, eating away most of his Bitcoin profits. Yep. But unbeknownst to him, by selling his Bitcoin, Thoway had inadvertently triggered a taxable event. So, without going further here, because this is what everybody always discusses, is the fact that they want to tax you per trade, right? So if you're trading altcoins, they want to tax you per trade. But this article here makes it seem like all that was all well until he cashed out that Bitcoin back into fiat.
And that makes sense to me, because then you're subject to the capital gains.
Yeah.
So
is it just they're deferring those altcoin transaction payments till you cash out in the fiat? Like, you're still paying for them, but not at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're still going to wait for you to cash out. So if I make 100 fucking altcoin transactions this month, but I never cash out into fiat, how could they tax me?
I agree. But
Right?
what about when they go and, like, Bittrex is going to go to fiat, right? Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
God willing.
To
like,
fiat pairs?
at some point.
Yeah.
Someday. I wanted to talk about that, the fact that they had their own, I think we did talk about it last week. They have their own version of Tether now or whatever. Yeah, we did talk about it. But anyway, this is, certain people are refusing to accept that this is the only form of taxation that's going on with it. I don't know if that might be FUD. It might be FUD. I don't trust anybody anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this article, Peter Schiff shared this, and the way that article reads versus the headline and Schiff sharing it, that's different, right? There's a disconnect there.
Yeah.
Like, even you just read it. I would not read that article for the same reason you don't want to talk taxes. And then the minute you read it, it's a whole different ballgame.
We got Jordan back. Hey, Jordan, we're talking about a Zero Hedge article where a Reddit user said that he was surprised to find out he owed $50,000 in taxes to the IRS.
That he did not have.
How big of a concern is this to most people that you know in crypto? That this situation will be knocking on their door? Are most people saying, fuck it?
I had a conversation with a buddy of mine who's done very, very well in crypto yesterday about this. So he said he is getting completely hammered in taxes, and that they're taxing you on your gains when you
cashed out of the exchange that you were in. So whatever the gain was then, that's what you have to pay on, not what you have now. So you might have made $500,000, but but now that $500,000 is maybe worth $100,000.
So are you
got to pay
saying
taxes on the $500,000?
you're saying they're taxing you as though you went straight to fiat once you got out of that exchange?
That's my understanding. Yeah, they're telling people that they got to pay taxes on their gains, regardless of what the price of Bitcoin is now, what it was then, because they're looking at the time, like that you made the money, not what the money is worth now. It's what happened when you did the trade.
Now, I mean,
So they're going after traders.
how
big
can they
time.
do that? I mean, you can't. What argument could be made? I mean, this is such a new thing. I mean, apart from the fact that all taxation is theft, we're not even talking about that right now. How do you take an asset and then an asset class, tax it when everything is based on the price of the asset? Because you got to use Bitcoin, right, in all these exchanges at this point. You're using Bitcoin, and everything's coming back to Bitcoin, and you're valuing it in dollar mostly, to do that, even though you didn't go to dollar. You can't do that. Like, that's why your common sense automatically goes, they can't even tax you until you go back to fiat.
Yeah.
Like,
How are they going to tax you in fiat if you've not transacted back into fiat?
and saying in the same breath, they say it's not a currency. It's an asset, right? Is it
Yeah.
an asset? What is it? Is it a stock? What is it? Jordan, tell me. I'm asking.
It's
please.
all those. It's all those things. It's all those things. Why do you think? All these countries are banning Bitcoin. Why do you think Facebook stopped running, cryptocurrency ads? This is, for no uncertain terms, a conspiracy to bring down the market. Now, for a country like China to be out there banning crypto here and there,
Every other
slamming
week.
down on exchanges and every other week. When China owns so much Bitcoin, it would make your freaking head spin. Okay, I remember Jeff Berwick sent me a real time website where you could see where all the Bitcoin in the world was going at any given time. Right, you could see what parts of the world and what countries were buying the most Bitcoin. It was China.
Yeah.
So there's something going on. I think they want to bring the market down really, really far down. I mean, I just saw an article today about George Soros, that he is now he's always called Bitcoin a bubble. Now he's getting into it. So I'm like, here we go.
Same thing that Peter Schiff
anything
did.
that's a real threat.
Yeah.
But Peter Schiff came around to a degree. I was sitting right next to Peter Schiff in Aspen in September when my buddy Joby Weeks handed him Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper for Bitcoin and for blockchain. Mm-hmm. And he had it in a little pamphlet, like a little passport. He tossed it in front of him and said, just read it, And to his credit, in a room full of people that wanted to rip his head off, Peter Schiff picked it up and put it in his pocket and committed to reading it. And then I noticed a lot of his posts and a lot of his public commentary on Bitcoin was a lot softer on it. He started seeing the value. And he's still not, a big pro-Bitcoin person, but he's not as anti-Bitcoin as he used to be.
I'm going to say this,
I
though.
would say that probably had something to do with it.
I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt as you are, because I believe it to be because he, every time for a while there, whenever he would declare the death of Bitcoin would just come steamrolling back, and then he have to eat humble pie. And I think that's kind of why he's pumped his. I hope you're right that Schiff did, read it and maybe realize the error of his ways. He'll never admit that, because he wasn't the first. He's the gold guy who was telling everybody it's a bubble, it's not real, it's he don't understand it. Which at least he was honest by saying that he don't get it and understand it. Like, I have a problem now with that. You have a flood of tax experts coming out now. Who are going to help you file your crypto taxes. And if you're doing that? Like, is it a bad thing for the amount of people to be publicly saying things like this article, like saying that they owe this amount of money? And what are they going to pay it? Like, is your buddy who owes that ridiculous amount of capital gains on money that is not gains because it's no longer a gain because this market fluctuates? If he goes and pays that, I mean, is everybody subject to this unbelievably unfair tax?
I think it's going to end up in a lot of court battles, honestly, because a lot of these people have made millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency. Yeah. So I'm really interested to see what happens in the legal system, because if you're being taxed on $50,000 or your tax bill is $50,000 that you don't have, because the price of Bitcoin is like $6,000, $5,000 right now. Yeah, exactly. What do you do? I mean, that's the time to fight. There's no other way to say it. I mean, this is the system trying to preserve itself by going after people who are successful with the alternative system. Bitcoin has proven a lot of things, and it's proven that a $500 billion economy this past year. If you watch CoinMarketCap, and see the volume that's being traded, it's a $500 billion global economy. I mean, that's not a small thing. It's a huge thing, and the thing about this blockchain and Bitcoin is it is a threat. Everything that's ever a threat, they go after. That's why I don't bother voting. Look, a vote for nobody is a vote for everybody.
Hey, is this akin to when
right?
Roosevelt signed the Emergency Banking Act and reclaimed everybody's gold? I mean, can we say that this is a very similar situation where they're seeing crypto as they were seeing gold at that time, and they don't want the individual to be empowered and own their own gold and hold their own gold. Executive Order 6102 was signed by Franklin Roosevelt, forbade the hoarding of gold coins, gold bullion, and gold certificates. What do you say to that, good sir?
I say it is the same thing. It's essentially the same thing. They have to have the power. They have to be in control, and we, the slaves, have to voluntarily give it up or face the wrath of violent government. And that's the way it's always been. You're like you said, they don't want us to be empowered or to be self-sufficient and to not need them.
I wonder, is it possible that we just stumbled on another Mandela effect? Because I remember his name being Roosevelt. But
Did I say Roosevelt?
You're saying Roosevelt, but you're pronouncing it how it's spelled. There's two O's, and it looks odd to me now. And I blame you for speaking it. You said Roosevelt. I felt weird when you said it. Then I looked at it. I'm like, no, he's right. It's Roosevelt. Am I the one who's crazy?
It's Jiffy peanut butter all over again.
We're getting close to the overtime hour.
Berenstein
we got 10 minutes until overtime, Jordan. I just want to warn you and let you know that you will only be the second person to ever go the distance with us. I mean, P-Dog, did P-Dog go the distance?
No, P-Dog didn't.
He didn't.
He almost did.
It was Deanna.
Deanna went the distance.
And Jordan Page. So stick with us, because when we get into overtime, it gets really weird, dude.
As if this isn't weird.
I got a loaded ball I'm going to throw at you and just watch you. But we can't do that till overtime. That's why we're contractually obligated to at least every 40 minutes mention Nexus and talk about Nexus. So at this point, we're going to give away our Nexus
right now?
For this week. We only got 10 minutes left of the official time of the show.
You want to do that right now?
Yeah, we should. But you're going to do that right now. I'll be right back, Jordan.
Where are you going?
El baño.
El baño, por favor. All right. Hey, Jordan, join me. We're going to give away... let's bring you in. Let's take him out of here. Get out of my frame, bro. Let's see if we can get you in here on this Skype. There he is. All right, we're going to give away our 5 free Nexus. And, something, I don't know how much you got to speak with Colin and Aspen. Did you get to have any conversations with him?
Yeah, I spent some time with Colin. I spent some time with Colin down in Arizona, getting to know him and the team. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Nice. He's awesome, man. We had him on the second episode of Crypto and Chat. We were honored to have him on there. Preston P. Dog Smith, Keith Smith was on there. And also, I can't believe I'm drawing a fucking blank right now. Who else do we have? Hey, who else do we have on that second episode? What? Oh, Max Kaiser, man. How the hell could I forget Max Kaiser? And Brian Smith was on there, but Max Kaiser, most importantly. But the reason why I bring that up is because we had this very conversation with them, with Colin also, about this fucking elite pedo rings and all this shit that's going on. Again, this draws people back to finding an escape. And for a lot of people, that escape has been alternative financial systems like crypto. So I don't want to hear the fucking shit from the damn chat. All right, we're going to announce the winner right here. We're going to draw the winner live with Jordan Page. One winner is going to win 5 free Nexus from the Coax coffers. Let's see. Drawing. And the winner, get the fuck out of here. The winner is Greg Wernert. Congratulations to Greg. He is a good friend of ours from Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Congratulations, sir. You are the winner of 5 Nexus from the Coax coffers. That's how we roll. We just give it away. That's what crypto is about, isn't it? It is the most giving community that I've ever been a part of. The End of Fed movement, the March Against Monsanto movement, all that was great. Great camaraderie, great people involved. But when you get involved in crypto, and specifically in my experience, the Nexus community, extremely giving. I remember somebody had gotten hacked. There was like a crypto live streamer, and he had gotten hacked somehow. And all of a sudden, he started getting a pouring in of Bitcoin. People sending him Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, all this shit, because he got everything, stolen from him. That kind of brings me on to something. How big of a fear is that for a lot of people? I think when I first started in crypto, the fear of getting hacked was very, very real for me. I know that there's things you can do to, limit that possibility, cold storage, things of that nature, 2FA, two-factor authentication. Do you know anybody who has gotten hacked in any kind of way with crypto and lost a shitload of fucking Bitcoin?
Oh man, I got a buddy who got hammered by a hacker. This guy he had this is like a year ago when Bitcoin was real low, and he had like $200,000 worth of Bitcoin back then. The hacker got into his email account somehow, and his keys were in there. Guy was like draining his Bitcoin accounts while he's watching it happen. Then the hacker starts telling him that he wants more, and and my buddy's like, "There is no more, you asshole! You took it all." And he says, "Well, I've got pictures of your kids now from your email, and if you don't come up with $50,000 more Bitcoin, these pictures are going to the dark web."
Oh yeah. What the fuck happened with that,
like, dude?
How'd that end?
Apparently it ended okay, and like nothing ever happened to his knowledge. The hacker left him alone after that, but he took $200,000 worth of Bitcoin like a year and a half ago. I mean, imagine what that has been worth. And it's probably still worth now to a degree.
You know what? That does remind me.
So, I'm trying to find the chat for the show. Where is it? It's on YouTube.
Yeah, we have one on YouTube and one on Facebook. The YouTube chat is fucking brutal. We got a lot of trolls in the YouTube chat, which lets us know that we finally made it. We've crossed the threshold of anonymity into semi-stardom here. Of course, what is it?
What's it under? I'm trying to find it.
Search for Corrected Axiom, and go right on our page. You should find it there. Jordan Page Part 2. Okay. Yeah, your story actually reminds me. I think it was like about a year ago. Yeah, probably about a year ago now, where there was hospital systems that had gotten hacked, and there was, they locked out all their fucking systems. I think it was airports, it was hospitals, a whole bunch of different types of systems, where these hackers were demanding Bitcoin for them to unlock, these hospital systems. You're talking about these hospitals, every computer in a hospital will be locked up from this hacker, all the different kind of machinery that they were able to tap into also. And a lot of these people paid. And actually, I was walked into the living room the one night. My fiance was watching, I want to say it was like Grey's Anatomy, one of those hospital shows. And the episode that they were watching, this actually happened to them. So they were actually kind of covering that within their own episode that this happened, man. So it is a very real thing. I think Bitcoin Ben was, now that I'm remembering, had gotten hacked. He was the one who was out there. He's pretty well known in the crypto community as the what does he say? What's his slogan? Let me explain.
Let me explain.
Bitcoin Ben. He's like he's a working class man. He's a working
truck
class
driver
man.
with a heart of gold.
Truck driver with a heart of gold. That's right. Moses crawling around in the background. Did you find that? Did you find that link yet?
Who's looking for a link?
I did.
Jordan. He wants to see the brutal.
Yeah, I'm in there.
Chat.
I'm skimming through, man.
All right, yeah.
Don't take
Skimming
anything
through
personal, dude.
So these crazy people.
Yeah.
Oh no, I look. This is my first rodeo.
We're not shy. We're not shy here.
What were you talking about, Bitcoin Ben? I'm sorry to.
We started talking about hacking. How real the hacking threat
Well, then
is.
he had the white hats come to his rescue in some aspects, and he was able to actually. He just posted about finding out who had actually was behind it. Do you remember this? It was just a couple weeks ago. You had put me onto it.
Yeah, he actually went. He was on a trip in Europe, I believe, and he had some of his hacker buddies put him on. Found the address, the physical address of where he was hacked from. And I don't want to fucking spoil the movie here, but he was claiming that it's ties to MI6, that the address was like this warehouse that, come to find out, was like owned by the fucking government somehow. Somehow they were able to figure that shit out. So was he hacked by the Queen of England? Sounds like it.
Well, there's an article that's out right now. I just read today, I think, or yesterday, maybe today, that George Soros is... On behalf of George Soros, somebody is purchasing large quantities of cryptocurrency. Jordan, had you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I brought that up just a few minutes ago. I think you might have been in Albania.
I was indisposed.
But yeah, we were talking about it.
Let's see. Let's see.
Sorry.
I found something here.
You got the article at least.
Let's bring you back in here. Soros fund buys shares in crypto-friendly overstock while Soros publicly disses Bitcoin. Dictators turn to Bitcoin to build investments abroad, Soros said at the World Economic Forum back in January, with us sarcastically commenting at the time, no one in this space could have asked for a bigger endorsement. So it seems like that happens a lot. You know, you got these very well-known financial figureheads, and George Soros, the fucking Nazi collaborator, piece of shit, you know, coming out and damning Bitcoin to hell, and then come to find out that, well,
this is a guy, though, he's done a lot of work to collapse currencies before, and then scoops in and buys them all up.
This is not his first rodeo.
Buys up all the assets. I mean, no, he's done this a lot of times. It was the fact that he's, you know, that it's now public that he's getting involved is very, very interesting. So... Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he'll be able to pull off his shenanigans. Maybe he won't. You know, maybe the power of good is too good.
Maybe.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, I want to.
Either way, I look at blockchain. Say again.
No, go ahead.
Was that?
No, you go ahead.
I was saying either way. I think you know, blockchain is going to. It already is changing the world, and you know the kind of automation that you can get with blockchain, the kind of trust you can create with blockchain. I mean that's the trend of the future. And you know, I'm working with an amazing blockchain company right now as a marketing and sales director for them, and getting them going. And it's it's just a wild ride, man. Just seeing all the amazing projects that are going on, and just having been there from the beginning, it's pretty wild.
Do you see a huge opportunity if anybody in this satanic empire government was actually considering trying to clean up the voting mechanism through blockchain? Isn't it possible to have 100% accurate vote with zero voter fraud?
Oh yeah, I would say so. I mean, you could cut down voter fraud by giving people a paper receipt for their vote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, but
I mean,
nobody's interested in actually doing that.
They don't want that.
Yeah.
No, nobody at the top wants that to happen because then they won't be able to manipulate the margins of what they do. But yeah, I think a blockchain based voting system is certainly a viable way to fix that whole problem.
Now we just
I mean, you can look at almost any situation and find a way for blockchain to come in and just kick ass.
Absolutely. You pulled up an article on that, so I was going to just throw us right into overtime because we are in overtime. Congratulations, Jordan, for going the distance.
Congratulations, sir.
And I have...
well, thank you.
I would like to open the overtime segment after... I mean, if you want to talk about this blockchain and vote first, then I'll open the overtime segment with a HighSpot 2000 story that involves Jordan Page.
Well, there was one app I actually covered on Cardio and Chat. I can't think of the name right now. But since then, there's been multiple different blockchain voting apps and ideas, different use cases that are kind of coming along here. And I think that's going to be the future. There is already, I can't remember the state. I don't even want to guess, but there is already a state that on a local level is considering using blockchain voting to run their next vote.
Arizona?
Could be Arizona.
Well, because Arizona seems to be on the cutting edge. Also, the home headquarters to nexusearth.com. That's nexusearth.com.
And
check them
Vector
out.
Space.
And Vector Space with a 25-year contract signed, and I will be sending my resume to Mr. Jim Cantrell. That's Jim Cantrell. All right. I was going to go off on a HighSpot story, which I still will, but because I'm holding a dog tag from Paul Fest, and instead I wanted to talk to Jordan about that because that was not the first time we saw Jordan perform. That was the second time we saw Jordan perform. Well, second time was in Tampa for the Republican conference at the Sun Dome.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a last minute fucking change, huh?
Yeah. What did you think, Jordan? What took place in 2012? This is why I want to bring this up because we were very motivated. we were very motivated. Partly, I want to thank you for the most amazing performance in the rain after we had gotten done marching with Mr. Adam Kokesh through the streets of Philly
at the Philly Freedom Fest.
And as we came to the Philly Freedom Fest, that was the first time we saw you perform. And what stuck with me forever. All right, because I also, I do covers out. I play standards, the new standards for cover gigs at bars. But what stuck with me forever was Jordan Page changing the words to Pink Floyd to all in all, they should have chosen Ron Paul. I'll never forget that. That was my first. I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah, we were literally walking into the field when you were singing that.
Yeah, awesome. But
that's
anyway,
awesome.
Go ahead.
Was there a question?
Oh no, I thought you had.
What was the
something to
question?
say. I didn't get there yet. I'm building the suspense.
I remember that show very well. It was Amy Allen and myself and Rebel Inc. And Golden State, and Tatiana Moroz sat in on my set. That was her first. That was the first time she did a Liberty gig. Mm-hmm. We had just met that day, and had practiced a little bit together. And
are you talking about in Philly
got up on
or
stage
in Tampa?
In Philly.
In Philly. Okay.
That was the first. That was the first one, and that was the first gig that we did together. The first day that we had met was that day, and it was Kokesh had organized the Ron Paul troops march on the White House, and it was quite a day because my dad, who had been very much in opposition to everything that I'd been doing, for I guess 5 years at that point, he picked me up from the airport in Baltimore and took me to D.C. to the event, and he hung out, and he talked there were 1,000 veterans there. 800 of them were Vietnam vets like him, And he starts talking to all these Vietnam vets who start like really educating him because he wouldn't listen to me. And by the end of the day, by the time it was time to march, we had the rally at the Washington Monument, and we all performed. And then by the end of that, I said, "Are you going to hang out, or do you want to go? Because I got to march. I got to go with these guys." He says, "Son, I think I'm going to march." I was like, "Really? You? You know, of all people, you're going to march? You know, you like Mr. Let's give Obama time to make something out of the mess George Bush left him, sir. Yeah. You know, you're going to march with the troops." And he did, and he stood in front of the White House and did an about face with the rest of them, and he held the salute for 21 minutes. You know, my 68-year-old father at the time held the salute for 21 minutes for 1 second for every soldier who had either died or committed suicide as a result of the Iraq and Afghanistan conflict.
It was a powerful video. Can we still even find that online?
I'm sure we can.
I don't know. I don't know that could still be found.
I don't know. I've got video of it that I took.
Yeah.
I took some video of him standing there, and it was quite a day. I mean, a lot of healing happened that day between him and me, and he's been much more libertarian ever since that event, since standing with his brothers, and turning his back on the White House and on their tyrannical imperialist policies.
Now, Jordan,
so it's pretty wild day.
What happened in 2012 in your estimation? I'm going to tell you right now what I remember, which is that the day before the California primary and the Texas primary were on the same day. And the week before, rather, we'll say, I think it was a couple of days before this moment, Ron Paul somebody had posted a video of Ron Paul basically calling on us to get more money together because we were going to do this. I remember we took the audio of the phone call and put it to music. I had that video of him talking the day before that vote, and him saying we're going to go on into California and we're going to go into Texas and we're going to, and he was full steam ahead. I remember this. And then the next day, Rand Paul came out in support for Mitt Romney on television. What happened? What happened there?
It's not a pretty answer.
I know. I want you to say it.
The truth is, guys, it's all theater. It's all theater. All of it. Ron is an amazing person and a wonderful man, and in so many ways, he's been very good to me and my family, and very generous, and included me in some historic things, and I will always have a lot of love and respect for him and his family, and but he understood what it all really was, and he used the opportunity to awaken a generation of people. He used the opportunity to educate people because he's a teacher. Mm-hmm. I don't think he ever really wanted to be president personally. I think that it was a way to change the culture, because that's the only thing that's worth changing. The system in D.C. is as rotten as it could possibly be, and it's all theater.
Do you think
it's not real?
Was there actually a threat made on the Paul family?
I'm sure there were a multitude of threats made to the Paul family over the course of 2 campaigns, but they didn't care. I don't think they really cared about that because they don't think they had any real intention of winning.
Yeah.
It wasn't about winning. What winning meant was waking all of us up. The fact that you have a show where we're talking about these things, he changed the culture in a huge way. I mean, I knew in South Carolina at the debate, I was in South Carolina with him, and at the debate when he was given 90 seconds, the entire 3-hour debate, 90 seconds of talking time, and he used that 90 seconds to talk about using a foreign policy based on the teachings of Christ, and he got booed. And I knew I had backed the right horse. This is proof to me that what I'm doing here with this guy is the right thing. And he blew off the pundits and came to the event that was the after event. He just blew them off. He wouldn't talk to anybody. He came right to our event, and I opened for him, and I got to sing him the song that I had written for him that night, and that was a great night. But what happened? I mean, it's not real. It's just not real. Politics is a farce. It's not real. Like, it's completely owned and controlled. People who think Trump is the savior are kidding themselves.
He was just trying to ignite
Obama was the savior. We're kidding themselves.
He was just trying to ignite the brush fires in the hearts of men, right? Go and get involved at the local level. Go and try to change this system. Be aware. Do you think that there's any? Is there anything that Rand can do with his approach? Do you believe that in Rand, or do you give him a pass just because he's the greatest human being of our century's son? So it's like whatever.
No, nobody gets a pass for me. Nobody gets a pass. I don't get a pass, and nobody else gets a pass. You are who you are. I think Rand does a lot, like for what he's doing, he does a lot of good. Sometimes he's the only person saying anything that needs to be said in there. Yeah. He's the only person trying to have a debate about anything. Everybody else wants to greenlight these horrific policies, and he's the only person standing up there talking about it. I don't know. I don't believe politics is the answer. I think it's just a distraction from us building the kind of world and communities and the kind of self-governing communities that we really need to have been doing all this time. I mean, nobody wants a bloody revolution. If you do, you're a psychopath, so go fuck yourself.
Right.
You know, like, I don't want a bloody revolution. I'm prepared to fight one, but I certainly don't want one, and I would do anything to make it not happen, you know. But what we need to be doing is spreading the ideals of voluntarism and anarchy to help people learn how to peacefully interact with one another and turn off the propaganda machines that are dictating and spoon-feeding reality to us. Creating our own economies. That's what blockchain is.
Yeah.
Freeing ourselves from the industrial complexes that have taken over almost every aspect of our lives.
Did you talk to
That's why I'm
Dr.
a cannabis
Paul?
freedom activist.
Did you talk to Dr. Paul in Aspen?
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that he knew you were there, because that'll probably make him feel a little bit more comfortable. Because it was like, he was really, when he first got there, he was like, I don't know what I'm a part of right now, and we bombarded him right away to take pictures. And it's like Dr. Paul.
That event totally rejuvenated him. From what I understand, that event totally rejuvenated him, helped him, gave him a boost, made him feel like the Liberty Movement was not dead, that everything that he had done was not in vain, because there was such a crazy warm reception for him there. I think it did a lot for him, and I think he's very, very interested in crypto now. Yeah. And I think it was a turning point for a lot of people, not just Dr. Paul. It was a turning point for me in many ways, and for a lot of people who were there at the Nexus conference, for sure.
Speed round, Jordan. Was Jesse Benton paid for by the deep state to infect the Paul family and marry his granddaughter years in advance in order to subvert the Paul campaign?
There is a going theory. I have heard that. I can tell you this, Jesse Benton is the reason that I opened for Dr. Paul 20 times and not 200 times.
Really? This is some good inside dirt right there. He's that much of a scumbag.
Well, I have. Yes. I mean, I don't have anything good to say about the man. I mean, he
in Philadelphia,
he proved himself to be the main roadblock between me being able to help the campaign more than I did. I mean, I would have done a whole lot more. And I mean, I wrote a song for the campaign that Dr. Paul loved. I mean, every time I saw him, he like demanded that I play the song, and loved it. And Jesse Benton was certainly part of the main reason why they didn't adopt that song as the official campaign song for the campaign. I mean, I played it at every event that I did with Dr. Paul, and I put it out and I published it on my own. But I offered to license to them for free, that they could just have it, and I wouldn't get paid for it. And he turned it down, unfortunately. So there were a lot of things that went on, but he's dug his own bed and he can lie in it, and it's all good.
I hate Jesse Benton.
People answer for their sins.
Do you remember when we were in Philadelphia and we were in the right behind? We got there, obviously late. We had done the march thing and everything, but somehow we got behind Dr. Paul. We were on the railing
behind the stage, yeah.
And he comes running out. This was the first time I had actually, seen him in person, and he's like 60, 70 pounds, tiny little man comes running out, and I was like, it was like the Beatles, dude.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I was like, wow, that dude is like my Martin Luther King and John Lennon combined, And then there's Jesse Benton, and I hissed. Even at that point, I knew. I'm like, I don't even remember all the inside baseball that we were focused on. I mean, it was crazy because state by state, you had this new phenomenon of documenting all of these primary votes with cell phones. And at the time, people were uploading them to YouTube, and you were seeing firsthand as they were stealing that nomination from him state by state. And then there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened in Tampa. What with the rule changing to not say his name, you have to have a plurality and this and all that. Yep. We had some interesting, stuff that we got to see, and we got to post online to our former Corrected Axiom YouTube that got taken down. I like to think it's because we posted those videos of people talking about they're changing. It was Dax. I remember the video of Dax. They're changing the rules, and then it's like nobody knows what the hell's going on. Anthony Antonello screaming out, "Beware provocateurs! Beware provocateurs!
Beware provocateurs!" No, this was the video here that really kind of shined a light on that whole process. Hashtag honest mistake. Jordan, have you ever seen this YouTube video?
I'm not sure.
So basically, they just go through all of the times where the media said, well, Ron Paul, he won second place, but they they put like somebody else's face there instead of his face.
Yeah,
or they just kept omitting him from the fucking polls. Yeah, look. Shit is fucking retarded, man. But this is a good video. Look it up. Hashtag honest mistake for anybody wondering what the hell we're talking about. I think for most of us, we realize, there's no way that they're going to let this guy win. But like you said before, it was about just awakening a mass of fucking people. And he was very successful in doing that. And then immediately there was a drop in enthusiasm, if you could, in the liberty movement. The liberty movement kind of ate itself apart from the inside out for a little while there. Just breaking down into like sub factions, are you an anarchist or fucking whatever the other ones are?
Well, there was also a mind control combine that Heiss wound up being indoctrinated by for a little while there. Love to get Jordan's opinion on that. I mean, we are broadcasting live, and he probably don't want to talk about too much. I mean, I don't have to name names. We could just a very charismatic leader who was former military named Adam Kokesh. No. I mean, that was a weird scene.
It was a weird scene. It was very Manson-y.
Listen,
I'm just
very.
What scene are you talking about?
The fact that Heiss lived in a house that, Kokesh paid for with viewerships, and I don't know if you've ever heard any. Did you ever visit the house, the Combine?
I think this was in
Arizona.
No, I think this was in Virginia.
Yeah, this was during the Kokesh TV show days.
No, I never did. Hey, let me turn a light on. Hang on a second, guys.
Yeah.
It's getting exponentially darker as this show goes on.
Because I'm just trying to bridge the gap here into a Heiss conversation because that was what I wanted for the overtime. I wanted to.
We're not complete without at least a heist
I know.
conversation.
Well, I mean, because
without having heist here.
I doubt Salvy's still watching, or I know Keith's not because he had already bounced to Slack. But I know Salvy wanted this. They were salivating for another good heist story, and I could tell the fact of the conversation of my years spent trying to deprogram heist from whatever the hell Kokesh was slipping in his food and then repeating over and over again while he slept. Whatever was going on there that just changed Mike Heist into this, Kokesh's not a bad guy, whatever it was. But I digress. Instead, my story that I'd like to tell for everybody is at the crypto party, the Keith and Preston retirement party, I went up to Jordan and I said, Jordan, do you remember this? I said, at some point tonight, you're going to overhear Mike Heist tell somebody that he is the Ron Paul of his generation.
Yes, I do. Yeah. And I was standing right there when he said it.
like a prophet, man. I knew it was going to happen. And I freaked out. Salvy was there too. Salvy, because Salvy was like, "He said it."
That's right.
He said it. But it was like
It's so much stress, you guys. It's like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, it's a lot of trouble on your heart when you realize you're the Ron Paul of your generation. And there's a lot you got to get done.
I'm like, he did it.
All right. Let me preface something. I love Michael Heist. He's my buddy.
So do we.
He's awesome. So
he knows.
I don't want to dog on him too hard.
No, you don't have to
say that. He definitely said that.
Don't, Jordan. Listen, this is what you don't have to worry about. What will never happen is Mike Heist will never tune into this show unless
he's on it.
Is on it.
Yeah, unless he's on it.
I can title a video. We talk about Mike Heist for 45 minutes. He won't watch it. He doesn't care.
No.
He don't care. And
I'm going to message him right now.
Send it to him. And don't tell him when in the show we did it, because this is 23 minutes into overtime. Make him watch the whole damn thing. And maybe he'll see last week's when we did a little heist piece with the
Well, then he'll
and it's always the Eric Cartman voice.
Then he'll round robin call us tonight, one by one.
No, but seriously, are you seeing what's going on in my life right now? Like, I'm serious. Like, they're really coming after me. Like, the Macy's carcass is making so much noise. It's sweet.
It's really sweet, guys.
There's no reason. He doesn't sound anything like. Look, honestly, he sounds nothing like Eric Cartman. He sounds
nothing like Eric Cartman.
No, but it's funny to do it that way, And we're trying to be entertaining, and that's all. I'm sorry. Any Mike Heist fans out there?
No, there's some diehards out there.
And sure. Speaking of, Sally also wanted me to reference the Mises, the
cartoon.
The cartoon.
I gotta pull that up. I gotta find.
Can you? So just type in I hate you Mises to pieces. It should pop up at that point. Jordan, are you familiar with the cartoon from the 80s? Or maybe 7. It might be older than that. It might have been reruns when we were kids watching it. But it was these two mice, Jinx and some other. Hey, look, we got it. Doc is good. What is the other video playing? Too much praise on you at once is what happened.
I don't know what happened.
I praised you?
Oh, this shit's playing.
Oh.
It's just playing in the background.
So basically, these two. All right, and then this is for Mike Salvy, who is definitely not watching anymore. I think he's even got his other show. His show is on.
Let's see if we can find a good.
These two
good clip.
Mice.
They say it in that.
Yeah.
I hate Mises to pieces.
I hate Mises to pieces. Yeah, and it's constant Mises with it. Those are called Mises. He calls two mices Mises, whatever. So Mises.
But the other one that we always like to play.
Well, that's what I was about to explain to Jordan.
Go ahead.
Are you a fan of Rick and Morty, Jordan?
I've never watched it.
Well, here's the deal. I was using this to, I don't know, what do we were to try to irritate Highest.
I know the story.
Oh, okay.
I know the story though.
Oh, okay.
You know about him
about
getting
the box,
the box,
and the microphone.
Yeah, the box. I think we talked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How insane! And everybody who's still viewing at this point into overtime knows this story because we tell it at least once every 2 episodes. But it was an insane, amazing moment. I mean, Please direct your questions to the Mises Caucus by speaking into this box. The Mises will only fulfill your request if you speak into this box. And then I sent him that clip. It was just a picture of the episode where the Mr. Mises box is there, and then I put it side by side with the picture of Heiss directing his question into a box that said Mises on the side. Play the song. The most obnoxious song of all time.
There's the box. Oh, God.
Heiss is forever known as Mr. Mises.
Mr. Mises. This is the best line.
Existence is pain.
Existence is pain.
So then Heiss calls me the one late night,
Heiss.
and he says to me,
Dude, the whole Mises thing is pretty interesting, right? Because I had to fulfill a request. And that's weird, You said it to me, and I'm like, it's weird. But what's with the part that says I have
Existence is pain.
No, not existence pain. I have to fulfill so I can go away.
Fulfill my request so I can go away.
What does that mean? Does that mean something's going to happen to me?
I'm like, dude, it's a fucking cartoon. What are you talking about? It's just hilarious that he's called Mr. Meeseeks, man. Like, it's Meeseeks on the show, not Mises. But it sounds enough, and it's funny. And God bless Mike Heiss. I mean, he's doing a good deed.
He's doing the Lord's work out there.
And he's got P-Dog, who is the greatest person in the world. And he got P-Dog working with him side by side now. So that'll balance out some of that evil aura that Heiss actually has.
Yeah, you know what? We actually have to have one or both of them on because they went to where'd they go, to Denver or somewhere when they were pitching the blockchain idea to the Libertarian National Party.
And unfortunately, Jordan, I don't know if you knew about this, but when we had Preston on, his dogs, his dogs had set him up on the episode, and it was funny. And it's available on our YouTube account.
Yeah.
But Doc lost his mind from this, and I think he pissed his pants a little bit over
I literally cried.
He cried. But the whole time Preston was trying to talk, the dog was throwing his water bowl across the room, and it was so loud in here. Like, all we hear is he waits. Every time he's waiting for Preston to talk. So Preston will be like, listening, be like, yeah, so, and the minute he does, dog sounds like he's standing there with the bowl and just throws it across. I'm sorry, guys, it's the dog. That was funny. Then all of a sudden, we're talking in the second half, and all of a sudden he'll be like, yeah, so with the Mises, and we're like, what is going on? What is that sound? And he goes, oh, my other dog fell asleep. Dude, you get a chance to see this. Doc's face, because then we're trying to press through the interview. We're just, and then Doc just start laughing. It's like, you got it right now? You about to play this?
Yeah, pull it up.
All right.
What is it about your voice that
Jordan,
makes your dog want to do the dishes? This is after his first talk. Every time you start talking, man, that fucking thing starts going crazy.
I picture him behind the camera, holding him and like threatening Preston, like, oh, here he goes talking. Hit the pots and pans together.
Hey, let's skip ahead a little bit because later on, at the crypto party, dude, I could not stop laughing.
Yeah,
I could not stop.
He looks at the big picture, and what he said was, and I had a conversation. I said, it's not going to move exponentially and have that many more people on the network and be able to work. I mean, when ICOs are out there, you can't get your coins through. I mean, you can't buy certain projects because you don't have you don't have enough to pay like the maximum gas amount to send things.
You gotta change the fucking camera.
He takes our video. Yeah, then he takes us out of there so you can't see us.
Or, want to buy an ICO. Or
so at this point, Preston's video of us had frozen. So he was just seeing just a picture. So me and Moses are fucking like fighting back. A smile, tears, smirking. He's biting his nails. We're doing anything to fucking fight this. But every time that dog would start snoring, that was it.
And there he is. Doc loses it. Watch him try to explain himself.
Yeah. Hey, is your screen still frozen?
Yeah.
Oh, wait till you watch the fucking video. Every time your dog snores, man.
I'm sorry, it's the funniest thing.
He's making me.
She can't sleep in our bedroom, and she wakes me up. I mean, it's bad. Like, it's absolutely horrible.
Is that?
I just feel so fucked up because we're talking about some good shit. You know what I'm saying? But every time I hear that fucking dog, and like the fact that
Now he starts crying.
all right,
We lost Doc.
we've lost it here. We're just
Awesome.
watching old episodes.
I
of
love it.
Crypto and Chat.
It's a Crypto and Chat episode about a Crypto and Chat episode. That's a whole nother level.
That's what we're about. We
It's a
focus a
dream
lot
within
on
a
the
dream,
chat.
man.
Yeah, it is a dream.
It's a dream, all right. Every Friday night, it's a
This
dream.
is, this is basic. It's basically like Inception. That's what this is.
It is.
Yeah.
And sometimes
The question is on the next episode, if you reference this episode in a future episode, it'll be an episode within an episode within an episode.
we will. This will
We're gonna
happen.
have to now.
You've got to play this section of this episode in your next episode, showing me Preston.
We'll show it to Preston.
You know what I mean? Like it'll
We're
be
gonna
like
show it
3
to
levels.
Preston.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Preston back on the show,
Preston.
Oh, that would be really weird.
so we can show him us showing
That'd get
you
really weird.
us showing about.
We've tiptoed into
Showing
one of those
him.
crazy conversations that we wound up having with John
John Vibes.
Vibes.
Good
Yeah,
Vibes.
good vibes.
He's another one, man. He's awesome.
That-
Hey, note to future Crypto
My-
and Chat selves: show this segment. Show this segment again.
Right? It's like Bill and Ted. Remember the trash can.
Dude, they're bringing back Bill and Ted.
With Keanu?
I know. I'm stoked.
No
yeah,
way.
Keanu's totally on board.
Shut up.
Yes, this is a true story. They
Go ahead. I'll give you 50,000 Bitcoin if you could name the other actor.
Oh man.
Exactly.
Alex Winter.
Shut up.
Oh, you
I don't-
owe him
Where's
all
my
that.
50,000?
Spoiler alert, I don't have 50,000 Bitcoin. I got in
That's
2017.
bullshit.
Spoiler alert. I just saw the rich
right.
list for wallets on Bitcoin, and Bittrex has a little bit more than that, but Bitfinex has the most. And then I just saw an article that was in Polish that I can't read, obviously, that King Troll had shared. K-Dog Smith with 2 Fs, said that supposedly the Polish government just tried to seize Bitfinex wallet.
Really?
Yeah. We didn't have time to talk about that in regulation.
In regulation time?
Well, yeah. And I've run the course of how much time I'm allowed to be out here right now.
Yeah. We're coming to an end here.
I have to go.
Yeah, I got to bounce, my brothers. But it's been great talking all kinds of smack about the state with you. I've enjoyed it.
Absolutely,
always,
man.
Jordan.
Come back on. We were successful with the audio this time, it looks like. So no qualms there. I think I got it
Awesome.
figured it out.
Lots of crazy clips, and that's what it's about.
That's what it's all about, the clips.
Nice.
All right, Jordan, thank you for
Well,
joining us.
peace to you. Peace to the trolls in the chat.
Oh,
Peace
yeah.
to what was that guy's name?
The Universal.
Hold on. The
Big
guy
Bad
with
General.
the Illuminati. Yeah, Universal Consulate General with the Illuminati symbol as his little avatar there.
That's the same guy who
telling me I'm not illuminated.
He posted racist comments on us last week.
He used the N-word on us.
And
Said
you-
our N-word music is unacceptable.
Yeah, and then we chose to play your music, and we mentioned it in the beginning. It was like, there we are opening with Jordan instead of our own music because we wouldn't want to upset this consulate general.
Consulate General. How ridiculous. By the way, he's been banned
gotta
from
love
Nexus
it.
Slack. So that shows you where he's at. He's very angry. All right, Jordan, thank you for joining us again
Yeah.
and redeeming our first episode with you last week. And thank you for joining us, giving away free Nexus and talking about the shitbag state and the shitbag trolls in our YouTube chat. Come back on real soon if you could, man. I appreciate it.
I will. God bless you, brothers.
You
God
too,
bless
bro.
you, man.
Thanks.
Bye. Awesome. We have run amok into the overtime. How are you texting on that phone right now, man? You texting like you perch on a toilet.
The old perch and dog routine.
Well.
You
We've
gotta-
come to an end here, haven't we?
You know what's
Sure,
funny?
Moshish?
I don't know how you got these cameras separated, but at some point in the show when you had us side by side, because you're so much bigger than I am, I looked like, not right now. This is a different
Oh,
view.
no, that was when I was like this.
Yeah, and it looked like I was your ventriloquist dummy.
Well, last week I was sitting like this, and it looked like you were talking to a midget, like a midget version of myself. Hey, last week we said that we were going to have the grand opening of Who. No, what was it? What was our website? WhenMoonSirs.com.
Yeah.
We failed to purchase that.
Somebody else bought it?
Nah, I doubt it.
We'll
Who the
get
hell
there.
wants that? We'll pick it up at some point.
We'll do it. When
then-
crypto matters again.
When crypto matters again. And you know what? Disclaimer. We'll start talking more crypto when crypto matters again. Until then, we're going to talk about fucking Pedogate and all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah.
'Cause-
I mean, Verge is mooning. Way to go, Verge.
Way to go, Verge.
The rest is...
The rest is history's mysteries. Thank you for joining us here on Crypto and Chat, live streaming on our YouTube channel at Corrected Axiom
For liberty.
with a measly 115 subscribers, which I should mention has been going up. So by this time next year, we should have, what, 230 subscribers? We need 1,000 to monetize, which I don't see any point in doing.
We're not going to be monetized.
We're not going to be
And then we're going
monetized.
to wind up going and shooting up a YouTube headquarters.
Oh, man, we didn't even talk about that. How crazy is that?
Is that a
shit?
man?
No, so it was a woman.
Definitely?
100% a woman.
No, are you sure? Did you not hear
Well,
that it's a tranny?
It could be a fucking tranny.
Did you not hear that?
No, I did not. Is
That
that
was
something?
the most recent news.
No, that's not a...
Write the word tranny in there.
YouTube shooter tranny.
Jewish tranny.
It always comes back to the Jews, damn it. Let's check it out. Here's the credible source.
National Socialist
Nationalist-
Worldview.
.blogspot.com.
I don't even want to show this.
YouTube shooter is a Jewish tranny. I'd be willing to bet that this is not a credible... She's not... First of all, I don't think she's Jewish, man. I think she's Iranian.
She was some sort of
No, she's Parisian.
Peruvian.
Or just
Persian.
saying,
Parisian.
although a Farsi speaker is not a Parisian and not a Muslim. but a
Persian,
Jew-
bro. Persian.
Parisian?
Persian.
And not a... I don't know why I'm saying that. Roosevelt.
Roosevelt. Roosevelt was in office.
There's another one that I always say. Last week it was self-defecating.
That's cool, though. That's just because you're a lyricist.
But a Jew and also either a transvestite or a so-called transsexual. I don't know if that's true.
You chose nationalsocialistworldview.com. Disclaimer. We are, Doc is of the Jewish persuasion.
I am.
My name's Moses, and
my Hebrew name is
Moshe.
Moshe, which means Moses.
Yeah.
You know?
Crazy.
Hey, Stacy sent me a message, apparently, or chatted on the old chat and who get. Hey, Nick, I didn't want you to think I was ignoring you. I actually had this lined up, but I never pulled it up. He sent us a link. Why do so many politicians have bruises near their eyes recently? So,
Yeah.
serious question. We got Harry Reid here, who he told an incredible Harry Reid story.
Yeah, man.
He told that the last time, but incredible to hear it again with full audio. This guy, what's his name?
John Kerry.
John Kerry, Heinz Ketchup. The old
G-Dub.
G-Dub, kind of weird, right? Who's that guy? Prince Philip got fucked up. Prince Andrew, right eye, whap whap. What about Obama with the bags? Looking like something.
John McCain.
Look, the Pope. Oh, yeah, the Pope. We didn't talk about this last time either, man. The Pope claiming that there is no hell.
Yeah.
You being a religious man. What does that say? I mean, he's not a
dude.
Catholic, is he? Is he atheist? Or
He is a Catholic, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that I renounce my Catholicism.
long before that, all right?
Yeah. I mean, Catholics, I would have loved to go into that with Jordan. Jordan would be way better at explaining that than me. Catholics are the continuation of the Roman Empire, and they are Satanists. I mean, that's unfortunate, but it's the truth.
Hey, well, on top of all these black eyes, there was the epidemic of broken ankles.
Yeah.
in
McCain with the flip flop and
what the
broken
fuck was
leg.
up with that, man? He had the boot on one leg, and then in another picture, he had the boot on the other leg. Now you could say that they just reversed the picture, mirrored it. But I saw somebody do some analysis, and how his shoulders are fucked up from being tortured as a prisoner of war. I like my soldiers who don't get caught. I can't do a Trump voice to save my life, but yeah.
Don't get caught.
But this guy did the analysis, so his one shoulder's always fucking way lower, and he proved that the boot was flipped onto the other foot. It wasn't a mirrored image.
What? Really?
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. And what about Hillary Clinton falling down the steps in India? That was a couple weeks ago. That's old news. It seems to be an epidemic.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Are they reminding people of who's the boss? Do you think that's what it is? Hey, just as a reminder, we own you.
It's weirder than that.
Is it during these satanic rituals that they're getting hurt?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think so.
Crazy.
I mean, is that too crazy to think? I mean,
well, I don't think so.
At this point.
No, I don't think that's too crazy to think at this point. I think at this point you have to be crazy to not consider some of what we discussed tonight with Jordan.
They're on some weird shit, man. You don't have to believe it. They do.
And that's what I was going to say. You don't have to believe it, but believe it that they believe it. Believe me, they believe it too.
Where's those white hat hackers getting into the NSA or the CIA database, release all this, collateral or whatever the hell right? If you think that those are just not even accessible through any form of internet, no backdoor access, nothing.
No, I would think at some point there was something that was put into a digital format, that could be hacked or found in some way. But, I mean, they are the ultimate controllers, so are they that stupid? Are they that stupid that they would do that? They got everything on microfilm. You got to be Ethan Hawke fucking coming down through the ceiling, take a picture of the microfilm, suspend back up, get the hell out of there before the alarms go off, drop a sweat drips off the old Jewish schnazol. All right, that's enough. And with that being said, we're done.
Once again, we're out on the schnozzle.
Schnozzle's out. Hey, congratulations to Mike Trant, Brutus, and Lee from the Slack channels and Reddit.
Mike Trant.
Non-respectively there. And also the 5 free giveaway. You were outside draining the golden unicorn. Greg Wernert.
Woo!
5 free Nexus from the Coax coffers. And the Universal Consulate General 1-0.
We'll see you next week, Universal Consulate.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Maybe we'll have a female on for you to
Google over.
Get a broner over. That's a great fucking word. I got to use that more. Broner's out. Hey, with that being said, Broner's out.
Broners.
We're leaving you now. We're going to play a little music, though.
See you
Always.
later.
The Always classic.
It becomes a part of you.
The Always classic. Raison. Raison.
All the words spoken, motives, fear, rebuke, controlled emotions. Never over till it's over. Hold position like a soldier. If you lose reason, only reason for truth. All the words spoken, motives, fear, rebuke, controlled emotions.
Yeah.
Never over till it's over. Hold
Yeah.
position like a soldier.
I'm Ben Affleck.
Benefit from being held to elevate. Our developmental melodies to celebrate. We could tap our feet and nod our heads to
Celebrate.
beat this hellish state. Jealous fakers belly aching, reeking
Open
with
me
the
a
smell of
celebrate.
hate. I see a beacon on horizon, keep propelling straight. We can all agree it's an oasis.
What
What
a
the hell is
helic.
state? Any place is better than this place we face together. Where the rain maintains forever with no way to blame the weather. I'm sick of seeing people reap the freakish pleasures by unleashing their allegiance
Break
to
their
release the
freaking
be the
leaves.
lesser. teacher, each professor then profess to speak a lecture. We can second guess their method, never measuring their pressure. Assess the texture of the fortitude you feel. Paint a picture with your words, ensure the sword you choose is real. It's more important to be born than die. Force and shield. They brought distortions to your vision while we orbit in this wheel.
Greg, I got your fucking address already. You've won 10 times.
All the words spoken, motives, fear, rebuke, control the motions. Never over till it's over. Hold position like a soldier. If you lose reason, there's no reason for truth.
Over here harmonizing.
You control the motions, never over till it's over. Hold position like a soldier. They say I'm no longer relevant. Take advantage of it while you think I'm an elephant. I gave you the world thinking that would celibate, but you wanted more, you take it all in. It's evident.
The world is an elephant.
Every move you ever made was only for your benefit. You're lying through your teeth, and that's
Jesse
my
Benton.
intelligence.
Jesse
I can't
Benton
help
is an
it if
elephant.
I focus on the negative. In my world, only negativity
Your dentist is.
the mess is getting thick, but we never mess with it. We stay medicated off of other people's
Celebrex.
medicine, as if that'll help.
Celebrex.
You're looking comatose. You
This episode of Crypto and Chat is brought to you by Celebrex.
My relevance is deeper than a needle.
Camel toes.
My every word is
And
freezing
camel
cold. You
toes.
see, I'm breathing smoke. I'm never blowing smoke. Notice there's a difference. A lie is secondary, but reality is
Biscuits.
instant. If you lose reason,